Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Good morning to life. Music. Talk. Inspiration. In perspective. Express yourself.
Good morning, my neighbor.
City FM, your station.
It's a refreshing lifestyle.
City FM 97.3.
Unleashing the power of relevant radio. This is City 97.3.
The City Breakfast Show. Rise above the noise. This is the City Breakfast Show. The city's biggest conversation.
Thank you, Jesus.
Oh, 6:30 on the City Breakfast Show. Today is Wednesday, the 19th day of March 2025. Welcome to the City Breakfast Show, taking over from Nanatufo Boateng, brought to you the City Breakfast News. The Voices of Pentecost. You are God, you are great, and you are holy. Launching us straight into the first segment of the show, we bring you headlines, we jump into business and sports. So much to talk about this morning on the City Breakfast Show as the Heritage Month continues in earnest. Sponsored by Fidelity Bank, from the dreams of youth to the ambitions of adulthood, wherever you are on your journey, starting a career, building a family, or growing a business. Every goal deserves a chance to flourish. That's why we're here to support you. Fidelity, let's turn your dreams into reality. Believe with us. This segment is also brought to you by Total Excellium with our new 3-in-1 action formula. Your engine is clean, its life is extended, and your fuel consumption is reduced. Insist on the Excellium's new formula. Choose Total, choose quality. And we're also sponsored by Piva Beverages. If you're looking for a best of flavor in every sip, it's a new beverage. The cola, the orange, the citrus flavored cocktail, the tangy, and also the grapefruit. Call us on 0550-032-231. Piva Beverages, a taste you love.
This is the City Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
Looking for a burst of flavor in every sip? Discover the refreshing taste of Piva beverages. Enjoy the classic Piva Cola flavor, perfect fit anytime. How about a fruity adventure? Try our delightful Piva orange fruit drink packed with recognized citrus flavor. Craving something exotic? Our Piva cocktail fruit drink brings the tropics to you. For a sweet and juicy treat, grab our grapefruit drink and don't miss out on the refreshing Piva tangerine fruit drink, bursting with tangerine flavor. Piva Cola, Piva Orange, Piva Cocktail, Piva Grape, Piva Tangy. Grab yours today. Available now at your local store. Call us on 055-00-322-31. Piva, a taste you love. This advert is FDA approved.
P for Piva.
Oh, jump on now. Go, the go. Ah, go me. At what time will you come back where I don't hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car? No, I don't change my car. It be the same, right? It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so. This is the type of fuel where they want to. Cause now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive, sir. Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mind self be the 3-in-1 action, no? Excellium they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. One pair way now open there. Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel? Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you. Hey, then make a finish my go be fast, then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand my go be inside? I give you info. Make a feel the go be too small. The go. Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
Let's go. My body, when you wake up in the morning and you know the money calling, oh you go work, but you know it's out in your side. If I believe with us, if I hold my hand and believe, oh, cause you know it's out in your side. And when you dream, no say I live for you. And when you hustle every day, many wanna go. Anything you do, I live for you. Many want. If I believe I'm in your side, fidelity. If I believe with us, fidelity. If I know I'm in your side, fidelity.
The City Breakfast Show. Rise above the noise.
Money I hit wa. Money I hit wa. No come here, bamie. No come here, bamie. Bayote. Au Georgie. No come here, bamie. No come here, bamie. Bayote. Au Georgie. No come here, bamie. No come here, bamie.
Adani Best never disappoints. 6:37. It's Wednesday morning. We're getting straight into the headlines. Good morning, Caleb.
Good morning, Bernard.
What do you have for us today?
So I have daily graphic and guide. Graphic starts with a Greek budget too small for impact. CEO assets at PwC post budget forum. This is Daniel Akwe, Group CEO of Agri Impact.
Okay.
And then GCB launches MSME Group loan.
Right.
We are told that the 2025 budget inspires hope. This is Issa speaking.
Okay.
And on the back page, NADMO supports Laboni SHS after fire incident.
All right.
Now, the Ghana Fire Service suspects electrical fault.
Okay.
If you go to Daily Guide this morning, Ghana Bauxite Company defends OPCL acquisition.
All right.
AG drops Bakavomawa treason felony charges. Ashanti Council of State poll. Police reviewing CCTV footage. This is the Minister for Interior.
Okay.
And RTI Commission imposes 100,000 Ghana Cedi fine on National Signal Bureau.
Moving to the Ghanaian Times.
Ghanaian Times 2025 budget inspirational.
Okay.
He says states calls for proper implementation and make prisons transformative centers. President to new prisons boss.
All right.
Acquisition of Ghana Bauxite Company Limited by OPLC followed due process. Ghana records annual shortfall of 330,000 units of blood. This is the National Blood Service. Sad one here. Soldier, 4 others shot dead in Boko and Nanumba. And electricity supply in Kumasi stabilized. This is on the back page. And newborns to be screened for sickle cell disease. Professor Say Akoto is speaking on the back page of Ghanaian Times. If I take you to Chronicle this morning,
Okay.
government promises 13.8 billion Ghana cedis for infrastructure, but allocates only 800 million cedis. This is Kojo Opon Kuma speaking.
All right.
And then the bauxite story is here as well.
Okay.
The Herald newspaper this morning, military chiefs diverts 1.4 million US dollars armored vehicles as retirement gifts.
Wow.
Mahama government kept in darkness by outgoing CDS General Opon Pepra.
Chai.
US court empties Canada Japan's pocket of 18 million US dollars in Anas defamation.
All right.
Worrying one here, Atomic Commission raises alarm over intrusion at nuclear center, a nuclear facility. We'll bring you details of that.
All right.
Foreign Minister strengthens economic diplomacy with key agencies. And there's a dossier and is revealing gap-pick inconsistencies in GBC boss's new contract.
All right. Let's come to other stories.
Yeah,
The
news center. 11% inflation target in 2025 budget doubtful. This is Issa. And Dr. Baumia cannot be faulted for NPP's 2024 election loss. This is Adjoa Safo speaking. And 601 million Ghana Cedi judgment debt to benefit who cases and how much provision made for each case not mentioned in 2025 budget.
Okay.
Now, IEA Lord's proposed review of Fiscal Responsibility Act. Finance Minister touts city stability against US dollar.
All right. There's still more headlines.
Yes, so much more. Informer, present yourself for OSP investigation. Legal experts advise Oforiata, Dam Paris achievements unparalleled. Security Dawn is speaking here. God will reward your benevolence. NPP man prays for Baumia. And Minister outlines vision for Ghana Post as new leadership assumes office. 2024 GDP growth not Galamsey induced. This is the Statistical Service speaking. And then the Ghanaian publisher Bauxite Company defends OPCL acquisition. That story is here as well. And Asin South MP blast Mahama over dismissal of army generals.
Okay.
Good luck to President Mahama and Jos Pon. This is Manasseh writing.
Let me give a couple of headlines here. The new publisher, popular politician in Ahmed Swali Meda deals police grab suspect. Meanwhile, legalized Okada team starts work.
Okay.
And then Oforikrom MP tackles 2025 budget. In the Accra Times, 24-hour economy policy, NDC MPP MPs express opinions after policy advisors presentation to Parliament.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Bagwin Tasks MP says 2025 budget is a statement of values and priorities.
Okay.
And then enrich your parliamentary scrutiny. This is the clerk speaking to MPs. So lots of parliament stories in the Accra Times. Mahama Ayariga dismisses Apenyomaki's proposal for hospital and chamber. If you go to the custodian, Upon Kroma exposes NDC's massive discrimination as Mahama gives 10% pay rise to public sector workers, over 720% salary increase for presidential staffers. Now, Adjoa Safo has been speaking, but Omia cannot be blamed for MPP's defeat. She also says she has no regrets for abstaining from the e-levy vote. Meanwhile, we're told that Mahama's hacked X account has been restored.
Okay.
Let me take you online for a few quick headlines. If you go to citynewsroom.com, I pick two of them for you this morning. U.S. court awards $18 million to Anas in defamation suit against Kennedy Ejipong.
Gracious.
And then still on that website, HIV treatment shortage just hit Nigeria, Kenya, and other African countries amid USAID freezes. Meanwhile, minority is demanding pre-laying process for legislative instrument to revoke president's power to allow mining in forest reserves. So that story also making the rounds there. If you go to Channel 1 News, the stories I'll add. Ghana Railway Development Authority condemns theft of Tema and Pakadan railway parts by scrap dealers. Can you imagine?
I watched on Channel 1 last night.
Meanwhile, drivers, commuters face 12-hour ordeal on crumbling Wasola Bamboy Highway. We couldn't use this road on a caravan because the road is that bad. So drivers and commuters are facing a 12-hour ordeal on that terrible road. Meanwhile, GPRTU says report anybody who charges unapproved fees or fares for transportation. They've not agreed to raise any price. Let's get into the details.
All right, so majority minority clash over 2025 budget. Page 20 of graphic, Dixon Walanyo Doche is writing that the majority in parliament yesterday defended the government's 2025 budget statement, describing it as redemptive content to rescue the economy. The minority, on the other hand, described the budget as unrealistic and underfunded. And now the MP for Karaga and former Minister for Finance, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, criticized the budget as lacking credibility due to inconsistencies between the main document and its appendixes. And the majority side's MP for Bolgatanga Central, Isaac Adongo, dismissed the NPP's criticisms as baseless and hypocritical. He argued that the opposition was struggling to accept the current government had presented a budget without resorting to borrowing from the international capital market. Right. Meanwhile, a Greek budget too small for impact. The chief executive officer for Agri Impact Group, Daniel Akwe, has stated that the budget allocation to Agri is inadequate for driving national economic transformation. He said with only 1.5 billion, approximately $100 million allocated to the agricultural sector out of the 279 billion national budget, the sector received just on page 3 0.54% of total government spending. He was speaking at the PwC post-budget digest in Accra yesterday, where the CEO of the impact investor in the agriculture sector said achieving rice self-sufficiency alone would require over $100 million in investment, effectively consuming the entire current agricultural budget.
Now,
Meanwhile,
stay
Issa has been speaking.
with the budget. Give me the Issa story.
Yeah, that's on page number 13 of Daily Graphic this morning. Photograph of Professor Peter Kote is here. McLean Kofi writes that tax reliefs provided for in the 2025 budget inspire hope to help reduce hardships on the citizens and ease the high cost of doing business. The Institute of Statistical, Social, and Economic Research, ISE, of the University of Ghana has said. Now, the Research Institute said the reliefs, including the removal of the 10% withholding tax on winnings from betting, 1% electronic transfer levy, emission levy on industries and vehicles, VAT on motor vehicle insurance policy, and the 1.5% withholding tax on winnings of unprocessed gold by small-scale miners inspired hope for citizens and business.
Let me take you to the GNA and bring you a quick agric story. Since you said something about the budget on agric, GAU is in GNA calling for urgent solutions to avert a looming food crisis. So the General Agricultural Workers Union has called on the government to urgently address financial and operational challenges at the National Buffer Stock Company to prevent a food crisis. They noted that NAFCO, responsible for the National Emergency Food Program, was underfunded and required about 700 million cedis to effectively carry out its responsibilities. Both the immediate past Chief Executive Officer Hanan Abdul Wahab and the current one, George Abradu Otu, have said that the company could not respond to any disasters in its current state. GAU said that NAFCO was struggling to meet its mandate of buying, preserving and distributing excess produce such as maize, paddy rice and soya beans from farmers. The company for almost a decade has mostly stored imported food items and a few local products for distribution to secondary schools and a free senior high school program. This is a very important point. Now, Dr. Pascal Kaba, Deputy DG of GAU, in an interview with GNA, said the government must stop paying lip service to the agricultural sector. Now, later on, different sector heads will come and present their outlooks or their outturns for the budget, and I'm looking forward to hearing what the Agric Minister will say in relation to this point.
Now, plan to use tax refunds for revenue absurd. This is Daily Guide. Dr. Alex Ampabing is speaking. He's a former Deputy Finance Minister, and he has questioned the government's plan to utilize funds from the tax refund account as a revenue source. He calls the idea absurd and unsustainable during the Oxfam Tax Dialogue on Channel 1 TV. Dr. Alex Ampabing questioned the feasibility of depending on tax refund reserves to bridge revenue shortfalls, arguing that the account is not an independent revenue generating entity. His comments come in response to Finance Minister Dr. Kasiel Atuforsen's disclosure during the presentation of the 2025 budget.
All right, let me give you a quick story on the Anas Kennedy Japan issue. Then I'll move into mobility and transport. So media cannot be taken for granted. Anas speaks after $18 million defamation victory. Abigalata reports that renowned investigative journalist Anas Anas has issued a strong warning to politicians and the media following his decisive legal victory in the Essex County Superior Court in New Jersey. A jury found former Ghanaian MP Kennedy Japan liable for defamation and awarded Anas $18 million in damages. In a statement posted on Facebook, Anas emphasized the significance of the ruling, declaring it a powerful message to Ghanaian politicians that the media cannot be taken for granted. Now, I'm sure you know the background to the case, and that is given in the story, the other story, which is essentially reporting the facts of the case, that the U.S. court has awarded Anas an $18 million award. And let me just give you highlights of this. The verdict was delivered by the court. The lawsuit was filed on May 17, 2022, and where Anas accused Kennedy Japan and media personality Frederick Asamoah of making defamatory statements against Anas during an episode of the Daddy Fred Show, an online program popular among Ghanaian audiences in the US. During the program, Japan allegedly made a series of damaging and false claims, including accusing Anas of being a criminal, a thief, and responsible for the murder of investigative journalist Ahmed Swale. And then the court documents highlighted several specific allegations made by Japan, and then the Anas had sought $25 million cedis in damages, citing defamatory materials published by Japan. However, the Accra High Court ruled against Anas on March 15, 2023. So that was the Ghana one. But the US legal triumph comes after a setback for the Anas in the Ghana case. You can get the rest of the story on citynewsroom.com.
When a Daily Guide this morning, page 13, encroachers descend upon Gayak land. Ebenezer K. Amponsa writes that persons suspected to be powerful individuals have set their sights on the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission lands in Accra. With the ability to fight the encroachers not yielding results, the commission has resorted to virtually pleading with the public to desist from the anomaly. Now, in a press release issued yesterday, Gaia cautioned the general public against acquiring its land from encroachers and unauthorized sellers. Anthony Nanabuating, Director of Commercialization and Communication of GAEC, who signed the statement on Tuesday, March 18, 2025, said it has observed that unknown individuals have illegally broken barricades, securing portions of its land behind the Bosher Police Base, workshop, and the Gan East Hospital. It said, quote, the individuals have begun grading vast areas designated for the expansion of nuclear facilities adding that the land in question, located behind the Bosher stretch of Gayak property, is government owned and has been earmarked for the construction of an electron beam irradiation facility. It said the facility would support sustainable agriculture and enhance national food security by preserving food, reducing post-harvest losses, and control contamination in consumer products, as well as for sterilization of single-use medical devices.
This is troubling. Now, Herald is reporting that military chiefs have diverted $1.4 million worth of armored vehicles as retirement gifts. Now, the story basically says that they have seen documents which show that state-of-the-art vehicles, including an armored Toyota Land Cruiser 300 GXR, cost $1.4 million, with each unit price at $285,000. According to the Herald's insiders, the vehicles were immediately delivered to the residences of the departing senior military chiefs and have not been seen since. And according to the story, the purchase was made by the orders of the immediate past chief of defense staff without the knowledge of the new president. So very interesting story there. We haven't heard from the military chiefs as to what they have to say about this. They also have a story on the what they call gaping inconsistencies in GBC boss's new contract.
Right.
And this is in reference to the Ghana Broadcasting Company's new Director General's appointment.
Right. Bernard, Adjosafo has been speaking. But before I take you there, the new publisher has a very worrying story. It's an opinion, actually, page 4. Wild psychiatric patients on the loose in Accra. I mean, this morning I saw one stuck, wearing nothing, walking early morning.
Is this an editorial?
Yeah, this is an editorial. It says a mentally challenged woman recently stoned to death an innocent man who was chasing his daily bread at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle in Accra in the full glare of the public. There are several more reports of mentally challenged persons who have caused various degrees of harm to persons across the country, and the sheer increase in the number of such mentally challenged persons roaming the open streets of Accra has become a very scary reality to live with. These dangerous individuals are becoming too many on the streets of Accra. They walk in the middle of highways without the realization that they are causing danger to motorists and commuters. These persons have become a big threat to drivers, especially at night. They erratically cross highways and busy streets without warning and oblivious of whether or not a vehicle is approaching at whatever speed. This is a real concern.
They should equip the psychiatric facilities. Before you go to Adjosafo, let me give you two troubling infrastructure stories. Drivers, commuters face 12-hour ordeal on the crumbling Wasola Bamboy Highway. Story by Martina Masonu Zabong. It says drivers and commuters using the Wasola Bole Bamboy stretch of the N12 have raised concern over its deteriorating state, calling for urgent intervention. This critical trans-ECOWAS corridor linking the Upper West and Savannah regions to southern Ghana has become nearly impassable due to years of neglect. Originally upgraded and tarred in 2007, the road has received little to no maintenance since its construction, raising serious safety and accessibility concerns. Speaking to Channel 1 News, the frustrated drivers and commuters lamented the toll of the rugged terrain that takes on their vehicles, leading to frequent breakdowns. Then, still on infrastructure, Ghana Railway Development Authority condemns theft of Tema Mpakadan Railway parts by scrap dealers. Story by Juliana Odamia Sari. The GRDA has raised concern over the rampant theft of critical rail components by scrap dealers along the Tema Mpakadan Highway. An interview on Channel 1 News, the DG, the Director of Planning, Policy and Research, Monitoring and Evaluation of the authority, Al-Amin Ishaq Al-Hassan, noted that such behavior undermines the government's investment in the railway sector. And he says government spend huge sums of money on building the rail infrastructure, and thus Ghanaians need to take responsibility for protecting and preserving this critical asset. He says somewhere around Pong, we have identified a whole buffer stop being taken by scrap dealers. This is dangerous. Bolts and nuts have been taken, and element control systems for the control of traffic signals in the Tamahabo are being removed. These things that we need to provide security and safety. If we steal them now, the government has spent $447 million to build the rail infrastructure. Why can't we patronize this as Ghanaians? Why can't we show patriotism in what we own? He questioned. I mean, this is so sad. And then lastly, on transportation, report drivers charging unapproved fares to police.
Okay.
So the Industrial Relations Officer of GPRTU, Abbas Imoro, has urged commuters to report any driver demanding unauthorized transport fare increases to the nearest police station. Speaking on Eyewitness News on yesterday, he emphasized that only the GPRTU and the GRTCC had the authority to negotiate and announce transport fares. This is against the background that another group had announced a transport percent increase of 20%. They call themselves Alliance of Drivers in Ghana. But this was unapproved. So the statement from GPRT and GRTCC said anybody who raises their fares without recourse to them is performing an illegality.
But the e-levy removal will take effect by the end of March. This is according to the Deputy Finance Minister. And Adjoa Safo says she doesn't regret recusing herself from e-levy vote. She could not do that to head the poor. First Deputy Finance Minister Thomas Ampemnyakon has confirmed that the removal of the controversial electronic levy will take effect by the end of March 2025, pending the approval of the 2025 budget and appropriation. He was speaking on the Oxfam Tax Dialogue on Channel 1 TV on Tuesday, March 18, where he explained that once Parliament finalizes the budget process, the e-levy removal will be implemented. Quote, it will take effect the moment the budget and the appropriation is approved, and that will be the 31st of this month. We look forward to that.
Okay.
But Adjoa Safo has been speaking, and former Member of Parliament for Dom Kwabenya has defended a decision to abstain from voting on the controversial e-levy in Parliament, stating that she could not support a policy that would burden the poor.
Meanwhile, Ghana National Fire Service tenders are obsolete, no modern equipment. The Interior Minister is not happy. He was answering questions. He says the newest fire tender in the fleet is 15 years old. The minister made this known on the floor of Parliament on Tuesday in answer to questions. He stated that 48 of the existing fire tenders are not in use due to various levels of faults. So basically, he has a lot of work to do. Finally, Graphic Center Spread has the swearing in of the Parliamentary Services Board, which has a very interesting group of people: Majority Leader, Minority Leader, Clerk of Parliament, 2 former MPs, and then a couple other people like Nanate Osho, who's the Secretary of the Board, Isaac Isiama Mwakun, Second Deputy Speaker, Ebedezahuma Jetro, Clerk to Parliament, Ayariga, Majority Leader, Angela Aloute, former MP, Alban Bagbin, Speaker, Dr. Isibeye Boa, former MP, and then Linda Jechibwedu and Alexander Kwamina Apenyuma King, together with Bernard Ahiafo. So we wish them well in their endeavors. Parliament will have proper oversight. Finally, GBC was legally sold. This is a Ghana Bauxite Company. The management of the company has described as misleading and inaccurate claims about the sale of the company to Oforipoku Company. In a post on his Facebook page, Martin Pebu expressed suspicion in the sale of the company. But in a response, the company says nothing untoward happened during the sale. We'll end it here. Coming up next is the Citi Business News.
This is the City Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
And Latte has the City Business News brought to us by EcoBank. Quick announcement: don't be scammed. Fraudsters are on a rampage, looking for your PIN, your password, your card information, your OTP, and other personal details. Beware, fraudsters do not give away any information on phone to anybody. Don't give your 16-digit or other numbers of your bank to anyone. If in doubt, call 0800 003 225 toll free. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Hello there, it's midweek. Welcome to the breakfast edition of Citi Business News here on 97.3 Citi FM. This bulletin is proudly brought to you by MTN, Goil and EcoBank. Coming up, government raises fresh alarm over increasing cases of fraud in the banking sector. Also, ESA concerned about sluggish GDP growth projections in the 2025 budget, which it says falls short of the average in the sub-region. And later, more oil marketing companies reduce prices of fuel at the pumps. I am Neil Latte. Many thanks indeed for joining us this morning. Details of our stories now. The Ministry of Finance is raising concerns over the rising incidents of fraud in Ghana's banking sector, stressing the need for urgent action to address the threat. It has pledged to support key agencies, including the Financial Intelligence Center and the Economic and Organized Crime Office, (EOCO), in clamping down on fraudulent activities. Acting Director of the Financial Sector Division of the Ministry of Finance, Andrew Kojo Amekson, has been speaking to City Business News on measures being taken to tackle the issue.
In 2023, we have 15,865 cases, as against 15,164 in 2022. So this shows an increase in the cases that were reported in the banking sector only. And then also the amount involved was 88 million Ghana cedis in 2023 as compared to 82 million in 2022. So it shows you the trend that this is increasing, and we need to really take some precautions to stop this. The 7% rise is not minimal. It's somebody's deposit, somebody's money. And the amount you are mentioning is about 88 million. So you can't just brush it aside. Supposing it's even just about $1 million, it is somebody's deposit. It could be somebody's capital. It could be somebody's business that have been run down just by fraudsters. So this is what we need to look at and see how we do as a nation to stop these things in our country. If you look at it, the ministry itself is a policy pushing and policy implementing ministry. But we have agencies. Like the agencies that we are working with, we have IOCO, we have FIC, we have all these agencies that we are working with to make sure that they fight this. So we will give them the necessary support.
Andrew Kojo Amekson is Acting Director of the Financial Sector Division of the Ministry of Finance. We stay with our ministry because the Deputy Minister there, Thomas Ampem Nyako, has stated that the government's decision to remove the electronic transfer levy is expected to have far-reaching implications for individuals, businesses and the broader economy. This comes as the removal of the e-levy will take effect from March 31. City Business News' Nashika Caesar has more in this report.
The electronic transfer levy, e-levy, was introduced by the erstwhile Akufo-Addo government to generate revenue from electronic transactions, particularly mobile money payments. However, the levy was widely criticized for discouraging digital transactions and reducing financial accessibility for many Ghanaians. The Mahama-led government recently announced the scrapping of the levy, and many wondered when the levy will be removed for good. Speaking on the Oxfam Tax Dialogues on Channel 1 TV on the topic, the tax implication of the 2025 budget, the Deputy Finance Minister Thomas Ampem Nyako revealed that the abolishment of the levy will take effect from March 31.
This one says, when is the abolishment of the e-levy taking effect?
Oh, it will take effect the moment the budget and the appropriation is approved.
Yeah.
And that will be by the 31st of this month.
A former Deputy Finance Minister, Dr. Alex Ampabin, however, bemoaned the growing number of taxes on the banking sector.
A government that seeking to promote jobs and maybe grow the economy, I personally was looking at they excluding the banks for now, because credit has been very, very difficult to businesses. And the banks already are subject to the standard 25%.
Country lead for Budgets Ghana, Jennifer Moffat, called for a proper implementation of the budget policies.
That's the implementation, which is very, very important to us. And not just that, we're also looking at some of the tax exemptions that are given. We also want to see the list. At least let us be able to quantify that amount as well and know that if we are adding this to revenue mobilization efforts, what would that be? And are we actually seeing it translate into our economy?
For his part, the Greater Accra president of the AGI, Chona Makpelu, called for stricter measures by the government towards tackling procurement breaches to save the public purse.
I believe that if procurement is properly streamlined to ensure that is fair and equitable, and the steps are taken to minimize corruption, a lot of monies will be stayed in the economy.
Dr. Angela Zuma Alu, a fiscal policy advisor with Oxfam Ghana, urged the government to intensify property rate collection to boost its revenue.
For the Oxfam Tax Dialogues, it's going to be aired on Friday. We're actually focusing on property rates. Right, and apart from that as well, Oxfam has done some really wonderful work. I think Alex mentioned that earlier, right, in Shama and then Sagnargo. And after the project ended, we had as many as about 15 districts in the northern region expressing interest because they've seen what has happened there, social accountability, the social intervention projects that have been done based on the improvements in the property rate collection that has happened in both Shama and Sagnargo. So we are really hoping that this just doesn't stay at the CSO level, but it becomes something that government takes up to possibly help to improve property rate collection all over Ghana.
Nashika Caesar with that wrap of the Oxfam Tax Dialogue on the topic, the tax implications of the 2025 budget. More reactions on the budget because the Institute for Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISE, has indicated that the 2025 budget presents a sense of optimism, particularly with its tax relief initiatives. However, in its 2025 post-budget review, the Institute raises concerns over sluggish GDP growth projections, which fall short of the sub-Saharan African average. Speaking during a forum on the budget, the director of ISE, Professor Peter Corti, stressed the need for government to work to achieve its revenue targets, which he describes as ambitious.
The budget inspires hope, especially some of the tax reliefs. In fact, we've made noise about some of these tax reliefs for far too long. So we are all excited about the tax reliefs. However, not just the reliefs, but also the reforms that have been proposed. If they are done appropriately or properly, then we stand to gain. However, the low GDP growth projection, which is below the sub-Saharan African growth rate, is a source of concern to us. We expect to grow. We need to grow more, grow at a higher rate to about 8%, 6 to 8% annually, if we really want to move a lot of people out of poverty. So if you are crawling around 3-4%, then know that poverty would worsen. We're also not sure whether the revenue targets will be met. Corporate and property taxes going to increase by 45%. By what magic are we going to increase revenue by 45%? Total revenue and grant is estimated to increase by 20%. We have not done that in the past, so we ought to look at that.
That was the director of the Institute for Statistical, Social and Economic Research, Professor Peter Corti. Now, professional services firm PricewaterhouseCoopers is urging the government to create an enabling environment for private sector participation in agriculture. During the presentation of the 2025 budget, the Minister of Finance, Dr. Kaseyel Atoforsen, announced a 1.5 billion Ghana cedis allocation to agric. However, some stakeholders have criticized this move, questioning the government's commitment to driving the sector's growth. Speaking to the media at the 2025 PwC Budget Digest Forum, country senior partner at the firm, Vish Ashiagbo, acknowledged that while the allocation is insufficient, the government should leverage private sector involvement to expand and sustain the sector's development.
If you look at the amount dedicated to agric specifically, then absolutely it is quite small, which on the face of it looks strange, given that we're trying to push agriculture as one of the pillars of growth for our economy. However, the other environmental factors around infrastructure, around the thrust towards creating agri-zones, etc., all of those will enable agriculture. So government does not need necessarily to invest directly in agriculture itself, but to the extent that they create the environment that allows private sector to thrive in agric, we think that is good.
Fisher Shagbo is country senior partner at PricewaterhouseCoopers. Away from the budget, and consumers of petroleum products can expect some relief as fuel prices at the pumps record a marginal decline for the third consecutive time. This development comes 3 clear days into the commencement of the second pricing window for March. Total Energies has led the latest adjustment, lowering the price of both petrol and diesel from 15 Ghana cedis 75 pesos per litre in the first pricing window to 15 cedis 49 pesos per litre for the second pricing window. Shell has also adjusted its fuel prices downward for the second pricing window, and the price of petrol has been reduced from 15 cedis 72 pesos per litre to 15 cedis 30 pesos. Similarly, diesel, which now sells at 15 cedis 47 pesos per liter, down from 15 cedis 77 pesos per liter. This marks the third consecutive reduction after prices began to fall in the second pricing window of last month. The reductions are being attributed to falling crude oil prices on the international market and the recent relative stability of the Ghanaian cedi against the US dollar. On that note, let me take you to the forex market, where the dollar is trading at 15 cedis 65 pesos, the British pound at 19 cedis 80 pesos, that of the euro going for 16 cedis 50 pesos. And that's it for the breakfast edition of City Business News, proudly brought to you by MTN, Goel and EcoBank. I am Neil Latte, and do have a good business day.
Every day, people have money emergencies. Ma, I need my school fees. Mommy chop money. Crash it. Mommy my rent. Emergency, emergency. Now, there's a new emergency number in town. More money, challenge and enjoyment. At the top life we got. Dial star 770 hash for money emergencies and chop life.
For emergency access to your bank accounts, transfers, utility payments, loans, and more, dial star 770 hash. Bank on the go even without data with EcoBank's short code for digital banking. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
This is the City Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
After 7. Getting into kickoff quickly, and from planning date nights to making your kids happy with the latest toy and ice cream. These may seem very small, but they make all the difference in creating lasting memories. Good times start at Shell, where you can fill up on more than just fuel. You can fill up on love, laughter, sumptuous bites, and treats from our partner vendors. Juicy chicken filling burger snacks, a space to just unwind. We have them all at Shell. While you're enjoying yourself with your family and friends, your car can also get the love it deserves at the Shell Fuel Service Station and Wash Bay. It's one roof for everything. Visit Shell today. Go well with Shell. Shell, go well. And the La Shell Don't Come campaign has come to you because you deserve financial peace. Life comes with financial challenges, but with La Shell, you don't have to face them alone. From now until April 30, 2025, we've reduced our interest rates just for you. Whether it's education, rent, or unexpected expenses, we've got the right loan to meet your needs. Simply WhatsApp or call Nana on 0270 040 799 or 0270 040 733. Let's make life easier together. Act now before the offer ends. T's and C's apply. Let's share, let's improve life. And Edwin Kwakofio is here with Kickoff. Good morning, Mr. Kwao.
Good morning, Caleb Kuda. It's Wednesday morning. Welcome aboard to Kickoff on the City Breakfast Show with me, Edwin Kwakofi. Coming up, we'll bring you up to speed with regards to day 2 of the Black Stars training session yesterday at the Accra Sports Stadium. Kickoff is powered by Shell, Shell Go Well, Zonda GH, and Lesheho. Let's improve life. Let's begin with the Black Stars, who conducted their second training session at the Accra Sports Stadium yesterday ahead of their 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers against Chad and Madagascar. The team began their preparations on Monday at the Elisa Hotel, where 9 players initially reported to camp. The second day of training was quite an eventful one, with the high turnout of players, politicians, and Ghanaian football legends. City Sports' Yao Ejeminta was at the training session and filed this report.
Day 2 of the Black Stars training session ahead of the team's crucial ties against Chad and Madagascar was a major departure from the scant number of participants on day 1, as several key players were present for the session. Black Stars captain Jordan Ayew and deputy captains Thomas Partey and Alexander Djiku headlined the playing unit that prepared feverishly for the game against Chad on Friday in front of a healthy crowd that cheered every move made by homeboy Benjamin Asare of Accra Hearts of Oak fame. Publicist of Thomas Partey, Samuel Ziga, had a positive outlook after witnessing the training session.
It's good to have a full house here. Every manager, every coach, every gaffer would like to have a full team, especially on the second day of this training. It's a very short window. We want to have a full squad just to make sure that everyone accommodates everything, the weather, the pitch, the environment and everything, especially with the new players coming on board. Team telepathy is important, so I think they are on track to beat Chad on Friday.
Member of Parliament for Brecum West and a former sports journalist, Dixon Chedua, was at the Accra Sports Stadium to see the Black Stars train and was impressed by the drive and unity in the team.
Last year, AFCON qualifiers, I watched quite a number of them, and I'm seeing a totally different Black Stars today. Black Stars that you can see sense of unity, you can see sense of commitment, you can see their passion and drive, and they are driven by the Ghanaian supporters. You saw the enthusiasm, the energy displayed by the soccer fans here. So I'm seeing totally a different Black Stars. And let us also recognize that at the management level, at the technical level, there have been augmentations. The technical team has been beefed. There have been some tweaks here and there at the management level of the Black Stars.
He went on to call on Ghanaians to support the team for the upcoming games.
This is a national call. Every Ghanaian has responsibility to support the cause of Black Stars to qualify for USA, Canada, and Mexico. That's why I'm here to lend my support. Ghana at the moment is in a very strategic position to qualify. And to do that, we need to win the upcoming double header against Chad and Madagascar. At this point, every Tom, Dick, and Harry should be on board. All hands must be on board. This permeates beyond every political boundary.
Day 3 of the Black Stars training session will be held behind closed doors at the Accra Sports Stadium on Wednesday, March 19.
That was a comprehensive report by my colleague Yao Ejimenta. Friday's match against Chad will be played at the Accra Sports Stadium, which has certainly raised a few eyebrows over its current state. But the president of Ghana Athletics, Bawa Fuseni, has expressed confidence that the new Director General of the National Sports Authority, Yao Ampofo Ankra, will prioritize improving the conditions in the national stadia. He noted that beyond his role as president of the Beach Soccer Federation, Ankra has a strong background in football and understands the importance of well-maintained facilities.
Naturally, Yao, apart from being a big soccer man, he's also a football person. And I know he will work assiduously to make sure that the facilities are the best for the Black Stars, even for the CAF. Sometimes I felt very disappointed when I saw the facilities being run down to that stage. But I know how decent Yao is. He will work to make sure that the facilities are up to date. And as for Black Star, we will all here to support Black Star to qualify for the World Cup. And this match is a very crucial match. And on behalf of Ghana Athletics and the athletic fraternity, we wish the Black Star very well and well wishes. We also wish Yao Ampofo Ankra best of all lucks, so that together we will work to build the National Sports Authority and to also support Ghana Black Star to win this crucial World Cup qualifier over this weekend.
Bawa Husseini is the president of Ghana Athletics. Staying with football, and the Ministry of Sports and Recreation through the National Sports Authority has temporarily suspended the usage of its e-ticketing platform for match ticket sales. The decision means fans attending the 2026 World Cup qualifier between Ghana and Chad at the Accra Sports Stadium will have to purchase printed tickets at the gates. The NSA is yet to announce the designated points where fans can purchase tickets for the match. Ticket prices for Ghana versus Chad at the Accra Sports Stadium range from 200 cedis to 10 cedis, with a VVIP costing 200, VIP costing 150 cedis, lower VIP costing 100 cedis, Osu stand costing 20 cedis, and a seat at the popular stand costing 10 CDs. Let's head to England now, where Arsenal are set to open formal talks with Bukayo Saka over a new contract as the forward enters the final 2 years of his current deal. Saka has been unavailable since December after sustaining a serious hamstring tear in the victory over Crystal Palace, an injury that eventually required surgery. But his importance to Mikel Arteta's team remains unquestioned, with the club preparing to meet the players' representatives over a contract extension. At Old Trafford, Manchester United season ticket prices are set to increase by 5% for the third successive year as part of the club's ongoing drive for financial sustainability. While the cost for under 16s will be frozen, the applicable senior discount will now track the state pension age of 66. Car parking charges will rise by 15%, while seats adjacent to the Old Trafford dugouts are set to be converted for hospitality purposes, reflecting the high value of the unique location. Now, former English football manager Harry Redknapp believes Newcastle boss Eddie Howe should be England manager and has called for him to be appointed after Thomas Tuchel's reign of the Three Lions is over. Howe became the first English manager to win a major trophy in the country since Redknapp led Portsmouth to FA Cup glory in 2008 as he defeated Arne Slot's Liverpool 2-1 at Wembley. Coincidentally, Howe was also Redknapp's first signing as Pompey boss in 2002. Let's hear from Harry Redknapp.
18 months or so. Do you think after that Eddie might come in the reckoning, considering he's got a track record now?
He should be the biggest certainty in history. He should have been the biggest certainty now. If he'd have left Newcastle at this time, I don't know. But if you were looking for an English manager, no disrespect to Tuchel, when he got it, Eddie should have had the job then, if he wanted it. You know, young English manager doing a great job at Newcastle. Yeah, he'd be nailed on for that job, surely.
Yeah. And of course, you know him. Do you think that's he'd rise to that challenge? Is it something he'd take on?
Yeah, he would do. Yeah, it wouldn't be a problem for him. He's quiet. He don't get carried away when they win. He don't get carried away when they lose. You know, he don't get too up, too down. He gets on with it. Good coach, gets out on the training ground every day, doing the coaching, working with the players, trying to improve them. He's got everything really nice. You know, he's not a big personality. He's a quiet man, but he's a studious football man, and he's top drawer.
That was former England football manager Harry Redknapp. Finally, some Formula One news, and Mercedes boss Toto Wolff says he felt like he had three drivers during the season opening Australian Grand Prix as he found himself closely tracking Lewis Hamilton's progress following the Brits switch to Ferrari. Hamilton left Mercedes after 12 seasons with the Silver Arrows at the end of last year, following a historic partnership that saw him win 6 of his 7 drivers' titles. And that's the latest in the world of sports. For more on all these stories, visit citysportsonline.com. We also bring you updates on X on Citi Sports GHA and on YouTube at Citi Sports Ghana. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to ensure you don't miss out on any of our videos. Kickoff is powered by Shell. Shell Go Well, Zonda GH, and Lesheho. Let's improve life. I am Edwin Kwakofi. The City Breakfast Show with Bernard Avle continues.
There are some classy celebrations that calls for whipping out your favorite China sets. Same goes for your luxury vehicle. Just any engine oil won't do. Premium understands premium best. The new Shell Helix Ultra 0W20 SP is the one for your premium car. It's a fully synthetic motor oil designed using the Shell Pure Plus technology. Prevents dirt buildup with exceptional cleaning power, leaving your pistons cleaner than a whistle up to 50% more than the industry standard, and gives you stronger, long-lasting engine performance. So, if you want your classic car to run smoothly like a Ferrari for years to come, use the Shell Helix Ultra SP 020 made for premium. Shell Helix Ultra 0W20 SP, designed for ultimate engine performance.
If you need unique services, innovative financial solutions, we deliver on our promise, cause we are number one. Let's share go, we improve your life. Even when you're stuck with nothing, no matter your situation, let's share go, we improve your life. Let's share go, we improve your life.
Join the conversation on the City Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/City97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/City973, and Instagram at instagram.com/City973 with the hashtag CityCBS.
He's here, uncle.
Oi, you man, look at you, all grown up, innit? So good to see you, fam. I miss you so much. So good to be back home, bruv, innit? I can see a lot has changed, mate. Home sweet home, innit?
Sit down and let me serve you something delicious.
The food is looking good, fam.
Of course, some things never change. Just like how Gino tomato mix still gives my food that rich color and unique natural taste every time.
Hey, sister, Papupun Sanwan Kasa. Just like I remember. Inquire, Jollof Nidia, Jaika, a yet danka sankasa.
Hey, and Tedriana Nama Ukasana Sisa Sisi.
Say Gino, dear, if you. This advert is FDA approved.
Gasaba. Smoke from firewood and charcoal is harmful and as damaging to our lungs as cigarettes. It can cause heart diseases leading to stroke and may even affect our eyesight in the long run. Grandmothers, mothers, sisters, wives, men, caterers, and everyone still cooking with charcoal, let's switch to LPG gas. The National Petroleum Authority has introduced the cylinder recirculation model in collaboration with local partners to make gas more accessible in all local communities. Whether you own a cylinder or not, join our CRM initiative. Simply show up at any exchange point near you with a small down payment to receive a filled cylinder or swap your empty one. Regular safety checks will be in place. Say ebisa museo more gas. Afe die gasaba. Switch from firewood and charcoal to gas for a better and healthier life. This message is brought to you by the National Petroleum Authority and the Ministry of Energy.
You are starting life, you want financial freedom. You know where to go for your child's education, financial freedom. We got solutions just for you. For your retirement plan, employee wellness and benefits. Old Mutual, your preferred insurer. Old Mutual is the best.
What are you waiting for? Come and join us. Call us on 030-7600. Old Mutual. Do great things every day.
Do great things every day. Do great things every day.
Football's magic never fades, even from the couch. The sound of halftime banter replays at the touch of a button. Sharing with my chosen crew. Pure game
magic. It's like I'm there, but with a better view from the comfort of my home. Priceless. From the March 3rd to April 30th, pay with your MasterCard, online or in-store, and stand a chance to win a unique priceless viewing experience of the UEFA Champions League final for you and your friends. MasterCard, proud supporter of non-stop fans. T's and C's apply.
Join the conversation on the City Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/City97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/City973, and Instagram at instagram.com/City973 with the hashtag CityCBS.
This is the City Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
Unleashing the power of relevant radio. This is City 97.3.
$7:33. KK Kabubu calls this one Nyati. Nyati girl. A few people celebrating their birthdays today. To lawyer Kimberly Bakate of CBG Bank from Omari, wishing you a blessed birthday. City team, please wish my daughter Miss Selassie Eiram Amma Sovo a happy 20th birthday celebration for me. Together with mommy and your brothers Delali and Senanu, we celebrate you and wish you the very best of this milestone. May the very God you serve surprise you with unthinkable things in your endeavors and cause you to do well. You are blessed. Shushu. Now, this is a very interesting message. This is from Dr.
Felix Koji Besa.
Okay.
So now his message is that he had wanted to reserve her for Caleb, but they are seeing that Caleb wants to become a Roman father. So the way he's doing, so he's decided to.
So who is he talking about?
The birthday celebrant, but she's only 20. So
what is it? Who is he talking to?
So the man sent a birthday request for his daughter.
Yes.
Who's 20 today.
Yes.
And he said he wanted to reserve the girl for you, but
no, the Caleb, he didn't add my surname, so it's likely not me.
Is that the way you see? Since you are on your way to becoming Pama,
that one, yeah, you know me. With all due respect, that is
the way you are going.
No, that is not my calling.
Well, the way you are
that
going,
one, it is not my calling.
It may soon become your vocation.
Oh no, it is the no. The village people are praying against this one.
So, Miss Selassie Aram Amasovo, your dad is wishing you a happy birthday. Your dad wanted to give you to Caleb. I didn't even know that they still do those things.
Young woman, grow in peace.
Happy birthday to my beautiful wife, Sophia Amma Adom. And, Sophia Amma. No, sorry. Happy birthday to my beautiful wife, Sophia Amma Adom and myself. I'm eternally grateful for your love and care. Cheers to another year of blessing and happiness.
Right.
And I need to apologize because yesterday we got a number of birthday requests that we could not read. But let me do this one. My very good friend, Professor Patrick Opoku Esuming.
Oh, right.
This message is from your wife, Patricia. What are the chances that Patrick will be married to Patricia?
Interesting.
From the boys and myself, we celebrate you today with love and gratitude. Your hard work, selflessness, and dedication inspires. And we're truly blessed to have you in our lives. Wishing you good health, peace of mind, endless joy. So in the same economics class, Patrick was the best student of our graduating class. He's now a professor of economics at the University of Ghana Business School. He's a professor.
Nice
hey,
one.
Patrick is doing.
Prof.
Your wife is wishing you a happy birthday.
Salute.
Now, yesterday we missed a few. Happy third birthday to Daniel Asian of Tulips Tree Academy, Childcare Academy.
Right.
This from Dad, Mom, Benji, and Uncle Charlie. And a couple more came through yesterday.
Yeah. There's a long one came.
Yeah, this guy, Kojo Frimpong sent a message to his wife, but I couldn't read it.
Yes.
Dearest, before it's your birthday again, and I can't help but to cheer you on for everything you do for me and our family. Your maturity, leadership, and counsel. Your flair for the debonair jealously stands out.
Come on.
Mom extraordinaire.
My God.
Chef exotique.
Yeah, man.
Warrior angelus.
Hey.
And delectable companion.
My.
The Creaky Four.
Kadosh.
If God asked me on Judgment Day what I did with my life,
yes, sir.
Like Whitney, I will profoundly say,
hey,
I spent it with you.
Come on.
Happy birthday, Ifua Frimpong.
Hey.
The woman king.
Come on.
I'm sure God is proud of you every day.
Bema.
For being his example.
God.
After 17 years of marriage,
God.
I still muse to myself.
God.
How did I get so oddly lucky?
Sofuji.
I am binging on you for the rest of my life. From a privileged husband, Kojo Frimpong, aka Shakes.
And your 3 points.
So it's 7:40. This morning, I'm going to pick two stories that I believe are concerning, and I'm going to do a follow-up. The Gawu story that I read on Channel 1 News is also on News Center, page 6.
Yeah.
Then the graphic front page story is also quite troubling. So, you know, the budget has been, they've started debating the budget, and Daniel Fahine Akwe, Group CEO of Agri Impact, has raised a very important point about the budget. He says the agri budget is too small for impact.
Too small.
Now, if anybody should know anything about agri impact, it definitely is Daniel.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to read a story briefly, and then I'll link it to the Gawu story.
Yeah.
And I think we need to have a discussion about this. The Chief Executive Officer of Agri Impact Group, Daniel Akwe, says the budget allocation to agriculture is inadequate for driving national economic transformation. He said with only 1.5 billion cedis, approximately $100 million allocated to agriculture out of the 279 billion national budget, the sector received just 0.54, just like half of a percentage of total government spending. That's very small.
Yeah.
According to speaking at the PwC Post Budget Digest in Accra, the CEO of Agri Impact said achieving rice self-sufficiency alone, only rice, would require over $100 million in investment.
That's all of it.
Effectively consuming the entire agri budget. Mr. Akwe said underfunding contradicted the government's stated goal of using agriculture as a foundation for economic transformation. Now, here's a background. 2014, AU signed commitments, the Malabo Declaration to accelerate agri growth and transform the sector. This is 11 years ago under the CAADP. This was to allocate at least 10% of national budget to agri. Bro, 10% too.
Wow.
And we are allocating 0.54%. Now, this underlying commitment is the background on which the man was speaking. Now, the Agri Impact CEO also added his voice to calls to establish an agricultural fund similar to Get Fund. So, you know, we have National Health Insurance Fund.
Yeah.
So we should also have an agri fund.
Right.
Mr. Akwe argued that while the country successfully produced skilled labor through education, there was no corresponding investment in sectors such as agriculture that could employ these graduates. He said properly funding agri would reduce youth unemployment, improve food security, and drive rural economic development, ultimately strengthening Ghana's entire economy. Mr. Akwe observed that while the mining and oil sectors were good as they boosted GDP, they did not provide transformational growth. We need mining. We need the oil sector. It makes our GDP look good. But if you generate $1 billion from mining or you generate $1 billion from oil, it is not the same as generating $1 billion from agri. Mr. Akwe, whose company is a leading a number of youth-focused impact projects in the agri sector, stated. This is because to generate $1 billion from agriculture, the multiplier impact will be higher. Oh, I love Mr. Akwe this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, on how the agri fund should be funded, pardon the pun, he said, we have developed means of funding education. There is a formula that puts money in Get Fund. We can use similar formula to put money in agriculture. That is really, really good. Now, the reason this caught my attention is that I had earlier on read a story on food.
Yeah, now Gawu is saying that urgent solutions are needed to avert looming food crisis in Ghana. That's the General Agricultural Workers Union, Gawu. They've called on the government to urgently address financial and operational challenges at the National Buffer Stock Company, NAFCO, to prevent a food crisis. They noted that NAFCO, responsible for the National Emergency Food Program, was underfunded and required about 700 million Ghana cedis to effectively carry out its responsibilities. Now, both the immediate past chief executive, Mr. Hanan Abdul Wahab, and the current one, Mr. George Abrado Otu, have said that the company could not respond to any disasters in its current state. Now, Gawu said that NAFCO was struggling to meet its mandate of purchasing, preserving, and distributing excess produce such as maize, paddy rice, and soya beans from farmers. Now, the company for almost a decade had mostly stored imported food items and a few local products for distribution to secondary schools under the Free Senior High School program. Dr. Pascal Akaba, Deputy General Secretary of Gawu, in an interview said the government must stop paying lip service to the agricultural sector. Now, you noted that NAFCO's warehouses did not meet minimum standards set by the Ghana Standards Authority and the Food and Drugs Authority, citing the inadequate financing as the main challenge. Now, Dr. Kaba called for immediate resource allocation, proper warehousing, and the establishment of produce buying centers close to farming zones. He urged the government to construct modern irrigation infrastructure and increase the number of officers assisting farmers to engage in year-round farming. Quote, it is very unfortunate the situation. We have about 1.9 million hectares of irrigable land, but we are not making use of them. We keep getting spillage from the Bagri Dam, and all this water goes to waste. Meanwhile, in Burkina Faso, they have constructed 2 major dams for irrigation purposes. Dr. Kaba expressed concern over the lack of an agricultural service, asking, quote, the structure is bad for us. We do not have an agricultural service. How can that be possible? How can you have a whole sector which is the main backstay of the economy and it does not have a service? We recommended the creation of the Ghana Agricultural Service, like the Ghana Education Service and the Ghana Health Service, to implement agric policies. At a recent handing over ceremony, Mr. Judge Abrado Otu promised to reposition NAFCO to ensure consistent food availability and price stability in the domestic market.
Okay. So you have two different views, or two different sources of the same view. The National Food Buffer Stock Company is positioned to buy, preserve, and redistribute excess food to prevent droughts, or at least during the drought season, to make sure we have food availability. So basically, it's a food security measure. And the GNA story I read this morning, which you just read, basically says that they need 700 million cedis. Now think about it. The amount they've been allocated as agric in its entirety, the whole agric budget, is nothing close to what is required for the whole sector. Not to even talk about the what do you call it, the buffer stock company. I think we need to discuss the budget from that perspective. Okay, a lot of the discussion on the budget is on, oh, this tax is gone, that tax is gone.
Yeah.
If you allocate as government only $100 million or 1.5 billion, in fact, so the 1.5 billion cedis is just like double what the NAFCO needs.
Yeah.
All right. Clearly, there has to be more money spent on agric. Why is the allocation so low? Is agric not a priority? Is there something we don't know? Is there an allocation through another means that we do not have? That really needs an address. So we'll speak to some people about this shortly. So it's 12 minutes to 8 on the City Breakfast Show. In the meantime, dear women, Zenith Bank recognizes the hard work and balance you maintain at home, work, and in your business. Let's lend a helping hand. How? Well, Zenith Bank's Women's Desk offers tailored financial services for women, easy access to personal loans, business loans, access to financial literacy programs, and so much more. Experience true support at Zenith Bank Women's Desk, available at 37 business locations nationwide. For more information on participating branches, visit zenithbank.com.gh. Zenith Bank's Women's Desk, empowering women with financial solutions. Don't just watch, feel every moment of passion like a true football fan. From conducting every pass, analyzing every play, and celebrating every goal like it's your own. That's passion felt, lived, and shared. And that's priceless. When you pay with MasterCard from now till 30 April, you can win an all-expense paid 3-day viewing experience of the UEFA Champions League finals for you and your friends at the Aqua Safari Resort. For more information, go to priceless.com/UEFA Africa. Terms and conditions apply. Your living room deserves better class, better warmth, better memories. That's why Ashroom produces masterclass range of sofas and couches to fit in every corner and space in your living room or balcony. We have modern design living room sofas and couches, center tables, wooden beds, headboards, wardrobes, dressers, bedside drawers, and chairs for your poolside and balcony or garden area. Visit our showrooms across Ghana. Delight yourself with Ash Foam. Call 0243 200 729 or 055 902 7907. Ash Foam is the only ISO 9001 2015 certified manufacturer of foam and other soft home finishes in Ghana. VW. VW.
Yes, sir.
Or Volkswagen.
Thank you.
The new Paramount will carry you to places you never knew you could go with a 3.6 liter V6 petrol engine producing maximum power of 280 horses.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what horsepower means literally. Selling at 712,000. Call 025 79 56 688 or WhatsApp that number 025 795 6688 for more information. Not only about the Terramont, but also about other ranges.
Yep.
So the Virtus, the T-Cross, the T1,
Yep.
the All-Space, and the Pickup. Volkswagen, rise and try.
Yeah, man. And if you're looking for a delicious snack for both kids and adults, try Bell Moo flavored milk. Bell Moo comes in chocolate and sweet strawberry flavors, perfect for any time of the day. For your lunch boxes, after school snacks, or a quick pick-me-up for bulk distributions, please call 0544 335 900. 0544 335 800. Bell Moo is maliciously delicious. Another quality product from Bell Aqua. Now, let's talk about the future of energy because it is right here and it's more affordable than ever. Translight Solar is making it possible. It's your trusted brand in solar solutions for the past 10 years. With a flexible payment program starting at 49,000 Ghana cedis, you can now power your home or business by paying just 30% upfront and spreading the rest over 12 to 24 months period. It's that simple. Buy solar now, pay as low as 1,650 Ghana cedis every month. This year we are marking our 10th anniversary and we want to do that with you. Say goodbye to Dumso and high electricity bills. Please call 0504 249 229 0206 542 454. Visit www.translightsolar.com to schedule a free consultation. Translight Solar, wherever there is sunlight, there is Translight.
All right, now the reason I'm leading with this topic is, you can listen to a budget debate on the floor and see there's a lot of politics.
Yeah.
So from the NDC side, everything about budget is great. From the MPP side, everything about budget is bad. And I don't think that's a very useful way of debating anything. So it's more useful to the public discourse when you bring in independent voices. Now, Mr. Daniel Fahene Akwe, I've known him for a long time. He's an agribusiness specialist, CEO of Agri Impact. Agri Impact trains lots of young people in agri. They do programs with MasterCard Foundation.
Right.
They've been doing this for at least 20 years.
Yeah.
Now let me read some of the transcripts of what he says. He says, so this is what I call an objective voice who's concerned about the sector and is not doing politics.
Yeah.
If you look at the budget allocation, you realize that out of the total budget of approximately 279 billion Ghana cedis, only 1.5 billion cedis is allocated to agriculture. When you examine the budget as presented by the Minister of Finance, one of the key drivers of the economy is the introduction of Agriculture for Economic Transformation Agenda, AETA, which is anchored on agriculture. Now, if you aim to transform the economy, but allocate only 0.54% of your budget to the sector responsible for that transformation, the economy will inevitably rest on weak anchors.
Sure.
The point I'm making is that the budget allocation to agri in this year's budget is highly insufficient. In 2024, the allocation to agri was about 5 billion, representing an approximately 2.2% of total budget. In 2023, I believe it was around 3-point-something billion, which accounted for about 1.8% of the total budget. Now, if we see a decline in government allocation, not donor funds to agriculture, we are definitely going to face challenges. I appreciate the fact that the government has introduced the big push and allocated about 13.8 billion cedis or so to it. However, I'm yet to see a breakdown of allocations within the 13 billion plus budget. If we truly want agriculture to transform the economy as the government is projecting, we need to consider key players such as the Ghana Exim Bank, which is supporting agriculture, GERSAL, which is de-risking agricultural investments, and the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, which is assisting agribusiness entrepreneurs. Additionally, the Development Bank of Ghana is investing in agriculture. What we lack, however, is a clear strategy on who is investing in agriculture infrastructure. He goes on. The Ghana Exim Bank, for instance, is not focused on large-scale transformative infrastructure such as expansive irrigation systems, large warehouses, or improved road networks for the agricultural sector. That gap still remains. We have the GET Fund supporting education, Cocoa Board managing cocoa-related investments, and other sector-specific funds like the Gold Fund. However, there is no dedicated fund specifically allocated to the agricultural sector. We also face the issue of climate change. Take northern Ghana, for example, which has only one production season. If a farmer does not plant by June or July, he loses the opportunity for the entire year. Last year, delays in rainfall resulted in many farmers losing over 90% of their crops, meaning they will not plant again until the following year, in June or July. With 70 to 80% of the northern population engaged in agriculture, their inability to produce directly impacts the broader economic transformation, which may only benefit a few people. So what do we do? There are several initiatives the Honorable Minister could consider accelerating and scaling up. For example, the government introduced the enclave and cluster approach, investing in strategic infrastructure. However, what is missing from this approach is what I call agri-enablers. Agri-enablers include incentives that make agriculture more attractive to young people. Just as we provide funding for hostels in schools, we need similar investments in agricultural infrastructure. We've invested in the supply side of our labor force, such as offering free tuition for first-year tertiary students. A great policy. But what is the equivalent investment in ensuring the absorption of these skilled graduates into the workforce? Agriculture remains one of the biggest employers in both peri-urban and rural areas. So investment in agriculture infrastructure and enablers is critical. While there are schemes to support the private sector, the heavy lifting, such as infrastructure development, must be borne by the government. If private sector players alone take on these costs, their investments may become unprofitable. These are the areas we expect the Honourable Minister to reconsider in the budget. Within the Big Push Initiative, can there be a big push for agriculture? Oh, I'm loving this guy.
A big push for irrigation, a big push for post-harvest systems. 3 years ago, we conducted a study funded by the Danish Embassy examining post-harvest investment in selected commodities in Ghana. The results were both eye-opening and disappointing. When we calculated the value of post-harvest losses, we were shocked. Our study covering areas from Bogatanga to Axim revealed that post-harvest losses for yam alone amounted to over $300 million per year.
So, Caleb, I want to use this to do a few things. Even before we do agric, I want listeners to discern between objective voices providing constructive criticism and politics as usual.
Yeah.
This country, of course, the budget is a political document. They will debate it politically.
Yeah.
But for a small country like Ghana aiming to develop, we shouldn't give all our airtime to just politicians debating budget on partisan lines. So I think programs like the one organized by KPMG, Deloitte, and PwC are very good, where they provide a more objective view of the budget. It's very helpful. Number two, people like Daniel Akwe should not be victimized for the things they say. They should be listened to and if possibly consulted.
Yeah.
He's not just some technocrat or some academic.
He's a practitioner, proper guy.
Over 20 years in the sector, if not more. I've heard him speak on this program. I've interviewed him before. I've heard him speak at various programs on agriculture. And he's been saying the same thing. Now, number three, beyond pointing out the problem, he gives you possible solutions. So he's giving you at least 3 solutions. Just number one, you have GET Fund. You have Gold Fund.
Yeah.
What about an Agri Fund? It's a very good idea. Number two, he's made reference to the organizations that already exist, like Exim Bank and Gersal, who can be given more work to do in the agri sector in terms of financing. But for me, the best thing I've heard him say was using the big push 13 billion to say, look, you can take some of that and push it into agri, because there's, and he, for me, the identification of what he calls the gap in infrastructure investment is an eye-opener for me. All right. So the point is that there is an unaccounted for area in agric, which is the agric infrastructure. Private sector cannot build their own roads.
True.
A lot of them do. I know farmers who have had to essentially level the ground to build a road, come up with their own irrigation system. It makes agric unprofitable. So the basic rule of government is, if you build a road, it's not only the farmer that uses it, we all use it. So he's proposing that out of the 13.8 billion allocated to the big push, there could be a subsector of that dedicated specifically to financing agri-related infrastructure.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fantastic idea.
Big push for irrigation.
Yes.
You know, a big push for
within
post-harvest systems.
Yes. So for me,
within
I'll say, for example, roads
Yeah.
into farming communities,
Yeah.
irrigation projects
Irrigation
can be
projects.
considered infrastructure because agri-infrastructure is very, very critical.
And you notice in the Gao story we read earlier
Mhm.
that they said in terms of warehousing, there are not enough and the standards are not even good enough.
So they could
It's
add,
not up to...
so warehouses
Yeah.
could be. The other point though is the
Yeah.
government's, previous government's investments in agriculture, have we made an inventory of them? So for example, they had the
Warehousing.
one district, one warehouse.
Yes.
Were they actually built? Are they in use?
Mm.
All right. A lot of the
The dams also.
yes, the one village, one dam projects. Has there been an inventory? I think it's important for the Ministry of Agric to give us a report on the state of agric infrastructure,
Mhm.
and then if they feel the 1.5 billion they've been allocated is too small,
Yeah.
they should speak out. We shouldn't politicize this matter. These are very critical issues for national development.
True.
Okay. So I hope the Ministry of Agric is listening to Mr. Akwe,
Yeah.
and I also hope the Ministry of Finance within the allocation to the big push can put
Engineer
some of that-
something.
because as we all know, Agric is the mainstay.
Yeah.
All right, and the fact that it's still rain fed is really an indictment. It's 8:01 on
Yep.
the City Breakfast Show. I'll do a couple of interviews when I come back, but let's go into tech and social media trends. Sponsored by
First Bank Ghana. If you're sending money, and Telecel, if you're sending money to Gambia, Guinea, Liberia, Nigeria, and Sierra Leone, it's so easy now through the Pan African Payment and Settlement Systems PAPS. Send and receive money, and then it's you're good to go. You need to visit any of our branches nationwide with your cash, and your money is transferred in no time. Now to receive money, you will need a First Bank Ghana account. This is one way we put you first. Call 0596-921-921 to find out more. Telecel is also proud to be associated with tech and social media trends. Telecel, connecting energy.
All right, so we have Susu is here with the segment. Thank you, Susu. Good morning.
Good morning.
What's the big story?
Well, the number one trend in Ghana, of course, is Anas.
Okay.
Yes, Anas and Kennedy Japan in the trends because a court in New Jersey has awarded Anas $18 million in a defamation case against Kennedy Japan. So Anas is one of it's probably the happiest man in Ghana today. Well, he's not in Ghana right now. He's on his way back, I'm sure, but he's the happiest Ghanaian today. So that's number one in the trends. Everyone is talking about it. And people are even thinking about what are the implications for the presidential race for the MPP, which is coming ahead, because we've been hearing news about Kennedy Japan. He's interested in being president. His brother said as much a few days or weeks ago. So people are wondering how that 80 million will affect that. So another interesting trend is the TGMAs. So this is the Telcel Ghana Music Awards. And there's a lot of controversy around the album of the year and various nominations. So King Paluta is in the trends because he's been what's the word I'm looking for? He
was not nominated.
Yeah, no, he was excluded because
Makuma is not there.
Yeah, it was excluded because it was claimed that the song contains profanity.
Oh, really?
Yes, so that was why I was excluded.
Makuma is not in that thing.
No, they say it has profanity in the song, so it's not fit for the process. Album of the year is trending. So is Kweku Smoke. Kweku Smoke had a interaction with a YouTuber, I'll call her, who was commenting on his art, and he was not very happy about the way she was talking about his music. And she said he said she was disrespecting him, that just because you can criticize my music and stuff doesn't mean you can criticize me as a person. So there was a lot going on there. And
has the president's Twitter matter been resolved?
Well, they've started tweeting. They've said that they've released a statement, and they said they are working on it.
No. They said the president said he has a
It has
Twitter
been
account.
resolved.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so they are not working on it. He has the account back.
They say they are working on improving the security,
okay,
so that it will not happen again. That's why I meant that they are working on it.
Oh, no. It's been resolved.
Yes.
It's not the same as they are working on it.
When I say they are working on improving the security. I misspoke. That's what I meant to say. They are working on improving the security.
All right.
So Kotoka, Kalije, and Kwame Nkrumah are also trending.
Why?
So this is a very complicated and interesting one. So Kalije, the influencer, did a post in collaboration with the EU talking about international collaboration. And a lot of people were very, were very upset with him because they said he's becoming an agent for neo-imperialism. So Kalije responded with a very long thread, and in the thread he said, we named our airport after the person who killed Nkrumah. Exactly. So this is why it's trending, because people started making a lot of jokes about how Kotoka is finding out that he killed Nkrumah even though he didn't know. Kotoka came back from the grave to kill Nkrumah. There were also some other, conversations about neo-colonialism, our role in the world, whether we should face East and West, the BRICS, etc., etc. But there was also this comedic aspect of it because of the fact that Kalije kind of made a mistake in the thread. So it's been an interesting conversation about geopolitics, and if people are showing their their international relations knowledge, so it's been very interesting to read. So you see, even West and East are trending. BRICS is very interesting, and the last one is the Black Stars in Asamajan. So Asamajan, the sports minister, and Keto Kreku were at the last Black Stars training, which happened, I believe, last night, and there were lots of pictures of Asamajan giving advice to various players. So there's some pictures with him and Jordan, there's some players with him and Kudus. So people are really, talking about it and what it means. So they are looking at what, and considering we have a very important match coming up on Friday, we are hoping that Asamajan can sprinkle some stardust.
We are playing Chad.
Yes. There's even more trends. Like, I don't... it's more interesting when there's no football, actually, because the football kind of clogs the trends.
No, you have to remove the football and tell us
but
what
you see,
else is trending.
But that's what's trending.
No, it's your job. You're a gatekeeper. So the fact that football is trending doesn't mean you should tell us only that. Football people are loud, but it's not the loud people who are the most important people.
But they clog the conversation. So the trends. So it's difficult to now look through and
that's
find
why
the
you are
things.
here. So look inside.
I'll keep that in mind. But we have to do a little bit of tech news. So Google is about to make their biggest acquisition ever of cybersecurity firm Wiz. So they are looking to make about a $32 billion acquisition of Wiz. Wiz is an Israeli company. They are a cybersecurity company. So it's a very big deal because $32 billion is looking like Google's biggest acquisition ever. So it looks like it's progressing, but with the acquisition like that, obviously there's some challenges and some issues that will happen. It's taking its time, but it looks like Trump is putting his fingers in the transaction and trying to smooth it along. So that's an interesting one. And Chinese EV maker BYD said they have created a charging system that's as fast as filling your tank with petrol. So they are saying that they were coming up with a charging system where
Once
you can
connect it.
Yeah, five minutes, then your car is fully charged.
Shit.
Yes.
Wow. That was taking social media trends with Susu.
You're looking for a bank to rely on. Let me give you a shoulder to lie on. Wouldn't we sit at a bank baby? No lie, only one place where I get my eye on. Make I introduce you all to First Bank, the best services in the world, first rank. Customer service, everything is well planned. I make music, I travel, I sell land. They be my reserve tank. Cause every time I know my money's safe. Universal banking ain't me here on the date. I'm a busy person, me no need time to wait. Now you to Spain, even when I'm in the States. My me blue shirt. They tell me office a chilly, but who cares? Cause I bank with the best. I'm lucky, I'm too blessed. When it comes to First Bank, it's too west. Everything is you first.
Nobody feed you, I'm like us. Do I'm like us. First Bank will treat you first. Treat you first. Somebody see yeah. Think about you first. Think about you first.
You first. First Bank.
Join the conversation on the City Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/City97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/City973, and Instagram at instagram.com/City973 with the hashtag CityCBS.
the soil. Find your way into profitable careers and businesses in Agric and ATVET now. Take a step today and change your life, your family, and community. Dial star 718 star 50 hash to join now. Ghana Grows. Hope Day. Ghana Grows is an initiative of the MasterCard Foundation in partnership with Springboard Roadshow Foundation, Limehouse, and other partners.
Hey, do you know sir? And you stay soft concentrate fabric softener. I was such it move. You're sending this say be here it's now check. New yanit's now check. No be a baby someone some demoni in us say. Do you know him say? Fair quiet, yes, sim beer association one tari. Use stay soft and new yanit's now check. Nani boss to tap from cry. A fabric softener. And you near say sir. Choose to stay soft. No who's so say no. FDIT a getting crack to yatu.
We've got what you need for your business and family. Whatever you need, you can count and call on us. Omni Basic Bank. Omni Basic Bank is we're all. We are not just another bank. Whatever you need, you can count and call on us. Omni Basic Bank. Omni Basic Bank. Not just another bank.
There's no price like the ShopRite price. That's why we are committed to bringing you lower prices on all the essentials you need. Like 1 liter Mont Eagle UHT full cream milk, only 29 cedis, 99 pence worth, and 500 gram Good Start white oat porridge, just 19 cedis, 99 pence worth each. Never pay more than the ShopRite price. Prices valid until 23rd March 2025, only at ShopRite.
Join the conversation on the City Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/City97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/City973, and Instagram at instagram.com/City973 with the hashtag CityCBS.
The City Breakfast Show. Rise above the noise.
So it's 30 minutes past 8. Our own post-budget review starts with agriculture, and we are taking you into the comments made by the CEO of Agri Impact. Before we do that, the enjoyment from January to June this year is Real Enterprise Insurance. Is giving you more reasons to smile on the road. Buy or renew your existing motor insurance policy and enjoy amazing rewards, free fuel coupons for your car and airtime for your phone. With over 100 years of trusted experience, we are here to secure you peace of mind. Visit any branch, connect with your insurance agent or broker, or use the Enterprise Advantage app for convenience and enjoy free fuel coupons. Enterprise Insurance is rated AAA by the GCR for financial strength and claims paying ability. All right, so yesterday the MPs started a debate on the floor of Parliament, and as usual, the first 30 minutes was just over procedure. Should we even debate? Shall it? The whole thing was about whether it was a motion or a statement.
Yeah.
And that if the budget is a statement, then there must be comments.
Yeah.
And they spent like 30
before the
minutes
debates.
of time discussing that, and then when they started, it was basically just back and forth. MPP said the budget is azar, NDC said the budget is good. And I'm asking myself, are we really interested in development, or we just want to do politics? You know? Because I feel like, of course, some of the things they say within the politics are true. But because the context is political advantage scoring, it doesn't really help us. Okay. Now, let me put somebody on the line. Who's on the line? Okay, so Clement Seydou Gisau is MP for Wa
West.
Godfred Seydou Gisau, MP for Wa East. Okay. He's also the chair of the Committee on Agric. So we want to ask him what he thinks about the state of agriculture and the budget's allocation to the sector, comments made by Mr. Akwe, and then we'll deal with other matters. Thank you, Honorable MP. Good morning.
Good morning, Bernard, and good morning to your listeners.
So you were the ranking on Agric in opposition, and you are now the chair of the Agric. Is that correct?
I was the deputy ranking. The current minister for Agric was the ranking, so he was my direct boss.
Good. So now you are the chair of the Agric committee.
That's correct.
Two big stories on the sector. I'm starting with the graphic one. Agric budget too small for impact. CEO of Agri Impact has said. I'm sure you heard me read his statement. You cannot disagree with him, can you?
No, I cannot disagree with him, except to say that, look, Bernard, let's speak as patriots and let's speak as Ghanaians. Where we are as a country, we need an arrowhead that can really transform the economy for the benefit of Ghanaian citizens. Now, all other sectors have been tried. And clearly, we have got the results that we are benefiting now, which is not good. What we need is to make use of the most resources that we have. And the most resources that we have are land, labor, and therefore entrepreneurship, which is questionable. So I think that the current government position, which it sold to Ghanaians and they bought largely into it, was that we're going to embark on what we call the agricultural transformation agenda. Now, all the contributing programs that have been put in to define the transformation agenda is something that Ghanaians could relate with. And so I believe that is one reason, that hope that this gives. That's one reason why we had that overwhelming vote. Now then, the question, allocation to the sector. I think it could have been better, but the question is, what resource envelope do we have? What are the current intentions of the current government? Is there a way we can augment this going forward? And I say yes. Two things. There is a limited resource envelope that the Minister of Finance can allocate to all the competing sectors. Now, what is the status of allocation in history to the sector? And I heard you mention some fantastic figures over the years, and therefore the figure now, which is 2.9 actually, cumulatively, and then 1.5 million, which is going to be funded from GOG. The GOG component is the 1.5. Now, if you look at that, it appears to be smaller as compared to what we witnessed in 2024 budget. But Bernard, if you go to the analysis of it, you would appreciate why this one is likely to have better value. Because the investments in the last allocation had 700 million cedis for planting for food and jobs. The rest of it actually went into capex and then compensation. Now, the employee numbers at the Ministry of Agriculture shot up between October and December, requiring additional financing to be able to pay compensation. Indeed, as we speak, the Ministry of Agri is in arrears for compensation. Now, there was a lot of investment in capital projects and then goods and services. If you do the analysis, it appears there was a lot of expenditure that didn't really commensurate with the output that we were expecting. And so I don't want to judge it as wasteful expenditure, but that kind of expenditure can be described as not investment. And so the quantum really doesn't matter in my view. It is about the value that the quantum brings out. And in this particular budget, if you look at the analysis, yes, on the balance, the figure appears smaller, but people forget about Appendix 11 on page 242 of the current budget statement. That actually gives you additional information of financing to the sector. If I may, Bernard, Savannah Investment Program is actually earmarked to be financed with $20.2 million US. The Youth Economic Empowerment through Digitalization for Resilience in Food and Nutrition Security is going to be financed from the Korea Exim, and that's $9.3 million US dollars. Then you have the Outgrower and Value Chain Fund, Phase 3, accompanying measure. That's going to be financed by KFW, and that's another $2.1 million dollars. Now, then you have the Ministry of Trade budget. The Ministry of Trade budget has got agribusiness now in it. And so there's a component of agriculture that is actually in the Ministry of Trade budget. Then you have the almighty 24-hour economy that is being housed under Office of Government Machinery, whose prime work is going to be centered around agriculture. And so the question again is, what other additional allocation is in it? You see, Bernard, you and I appreciate that we need that decisive push, and that out of the resource envelope that the government has, we should see that a significant push, 30% of it, of its expenditure goes into agriculture. That's the exciting news we want to see. But this is a new government that is taking over the reins. There is a sector you have met. The sector is so wide and big. The sector has got ongoing programs. You need to do proper assessments of it.
So these amounts you mentioned in the page 241, or I think that's 242.
Yes.
They are
11.
separate from the 1.5 billion cedis.
Yes, they are very separate. They are very, very separate.
But when you put all of the things you said together, it's still below $100 million.
$100 million.
Yes,
No,
you mentioned about 3 programs. You said one was $20 million, and you mentioned a couple more. I think that I understand your point about efficiency of allocation, but if you consider the fact that the road fund is allocated 2.8 billion cedis, school feeding program 1.7 billion cedis. That's school feeding program, just one program. Then the whole agri sector is 1.5 billion. So school feeding program has more money than the sector allocation to agri. I do understand your point that there are other sources of finance, but it's still, because you see the point Mr. Akwe makes is that at the AU level we all agreed that at least 10% of national budget will be allocated to the sector. So your allocation is less than 1%. So it is very concerning. Is it an oversight, or are there other hidden agricultural benefits, like he was suggesting, that maybe in the big push of 13 billion, some of it should go into agri infrastructure? Will the committee push for that? Because if that's not the case, it will be very, very strange for such a small amount.
Yes, Bernard, I largely agree with the Mr. Adekwe, correct?
Akwe.
Mr. Akwe, I largely agree with him. But just to correct the record, the actual allocation to the sector is captured in Appendix 4A on page 152, and it's actually 2.9 billion. It's actually 2.9 billion. That's the resource allocation that includes the donor inflows and IGF. So that is actually going to be 2.9. Now, I do appreciate that the initiatives which are coming under agricultural transformation agenda comes to the 1.5. And even then, if you take the capex investment and then the compensation from it, it comes down to 924 million. So frankly, I see the allocation quite low. But as I say, for now, what we need to do is, how is the minister and the managers of the sector going to turn around the goodwill, going to court investments, going to define our priorities in infrastructure for agriculture, in skills, in the targeted investments, to be able to turn around the opportunities that the sector presents now. For me, that's the bottom line. And my view is that the amount of money allocated, and Bernard, you and I must advocate for timely release of those monies from the Ministry of Finance, because agriculture is seasonal dependent. Now, if we can have that, I have a lot of confidence in the Minister for Agriculture turning this around. But beyond that, I think that I side with you on the conversation that government, larger government beyond the minister, must decide that what are we going to do in the area of agricultural infrastructure. We have opportunities in the EXIM. We have opportunities in the big push. So if clearly agriculture is going to be the arrowhead, then there must be sufficient allocation and targeting of to infrastructure investment. That can irrigation, i.e. irrigation infrastructure is one of them. Warehousing to be able to deal with the post-harvest handling of our produce is one of them. Now, irrigation cannot be overemphasized. You remember, just at the tail end of last year, we had about 8 weeks of drought. In fact, 7 weeks of drought in about 8 regions. And it just literally brought our food production system to its knees. You saw the Minister of Agriculture then and the Finance Minister running helter-skelter. They had no food stocks in the buffer. And so what they had to do is to resort to asking for additional financing from Ministry of Finance to be able to import food, the very food that our resources could have produced. They imported the food, and they didn't even have the system to distribute them, store them in ways that they can, be okay to eat over a period. And so they had to resort to distributing them in ways that you cannot even account for as we speak today. And so at the committee, we are interested in this big question, that even in the face of this so-called small resource envelope that has been given, what is the efficiency arrangement at the ministry? That is the oversight we are going to play. Number two, we will join hands with you to ask for decisive decisions on utilizing the big push, on using existing infrastructure like the Exim Bank. I think that it should just not be left at the discretion of the manager or the CEO of Exim Bank to define what investments becomes attractive to him. It should be defined by a theme that the government prioritizes, and that is where the targeting of infrastructure.
Will your oversight also make recommendations for the National Food Buffer Stock Company? I'm sure you heard the report you read this morning. They require about 700 million cedis to effectively carry out their operations. We are told their warehouses do not meet minimum standards of certification. They have almost for a decade stored only imported food with few local products. Their main mandate of buying, preserving and distributing excess locally produced food almost non-existent. That is such a scandal. Are you going to use your offices as the chair of the Agri Committee to summon anybody to ask any urgent questions? Because these are the real issues the sector faces that need to be addressed.
Certainly, Ben. Beyond using our mandate to be able to ask these questions, I have taken steps already. Indeed, 3 days ago, I was at the NAFCO Secretariat, and I met the new CEO, Mr. Otu. He's a nice gentleman, very experienced. I engaged him, and I was convinced that he's very clear on what his mandate is. Bernard, you need to remember that in the last few years, we have actually not used buffer stock the way it ought to be used. The intention for setting the buffer stock up was for it to be able to go to the farm gate, buy excess food that is produced at minimum guaranteed prices so that the farmers don't lose and can continue to produce. These produce were intended to be stored at strategic warehouses across the country. And then continuous market studies will be done. Where prices begin to appreciate, buffer stock comes in to push in the commodities into that market to bring down or stabilize the prices. So that way, food availability will be there at prices that people can afford. Unfortunately, the Ministry of Agri didn't prioritize buffer stock. And so buffer stock had to rely on itself and its initiatives by latching onto the school feeding program. And so they literally bought and distributed, bought and distributed. They didn't have any investment or financing arrangement. And so nobody needed the warehouses because the suppliers don't need the warehouses anyway. They just buy and go and distribute, buy and go and distribute. And so this is why we are where we are. And so a lot of re-engineering has to be done. Now, fortunately, the Minister of Agri is somebody that I worked with very closely in the last 4 years. I've engaged him already. And I'm aware that he's waiting for buffer stock to bring up an operational plan immediately. And that following the approval of appropriation, he's going to make some allocation to buffer stock. But that brings up the larger problem, Bernard. You see that there are so many things that the Minister of Agriculture has to do. So my fear really is how can he spread this small resource among all these things?
Maybe that's what. Maybe when the budget the debate of budget, I think, continues today, right?
That's correct.
Maybe you guys can stop being partisan and ask the real questions, because yesterday most of the NDC were praising the budget and then people were criticizing the budget. With Ghana is 68 years old, we don't need that. We need people to go to the heart of the issues, like the way Akwe went, so we can develop. But this whole everybody trying to score political points.
I thought you
no.
That,
I am
like the way I also went.
No, you see, you are an experienced MP, and I'm putting it to you that your colleagues are not helping us, because we've given you nice airtime to cover the budget for 6 hours, and all you people are doing is politics. It's disrespectful to the people of Ghana, who have invested in the welfare of members of parliament to go and do a proper job. But all we hear is politics, be that as it may. Let me ask you my last question. On our Heritage Caravan Drive, we could not use our intended route because the Bamboit Sola Wa road was in a very terrible state. So we had to actually change our route. I know you are MP for, I think it's Wa East.
That's correct.
What are you going to do about that? In fact, we have a report from that road. The drivers are really, really saying it's hell. A 4-hour drive can take 12 hours. So bad. Again, as MP, are you going to form some alliance to get the road minister to urgently address that very important corridor?
We have, Bernard, and thank you for the question. Indeed, using that road is more than hell, if there's anything like that. Because, I mean, we used to do 4 hours to Kumasi, and now you just have to do about 10 to 12 hours to Kumasi from Wa. And so it's terrible, to say the least. Armed robbery, because you literally cannot move, and so on and so forth. Now, at the tail end of the last government, the road was actually awarded on contract to Messrs. Marapoma Group. Now, my initial checks now with the Minister of Roads is that there's not been a commencement certificate. And so they were looking into it as a matter of urgency. And the MPs raised a statement on this last week in Parliament. And so it was largely covered by your network as well. And so we are not sitting on our house. We are working hard and touching the right buttons to be sure that something is done. Now that budget has been read, we are going into appropriation. And so we'll keep the conversation and lobbying with the Minister of Roads to see this road as a priority road. Incidentally, it's also the road of the current president. And so I don't expect anything more than making sure that this thing is done, not just because it's the president's road, but also the people's road, because people are using this for commerce between the north and the south. So yes, we are going to push hard on it, Bernard.
Thank you for talking to us, and please tell your colleagues MPs that we are not happy with the way they are going. They should do their thing well.
I'll send you a message.
That was Dr. Godfred Seidu Jisol, who is the chairman of the Committee on Agriculture, Food and Agriculture, and also the MP for Wa East. Time check is 8:34, and we matched two stories. Agri budget too small for impact. CEO of Agri Impact suggests urgent solutions needed to avert looming food crisis in Ghana. We're told 70 to 80% of farmers in the northern part could not farm last year because of a drought, or when the rains delay, they lose a lot of they basically cannot plant. Buffer stock company is not well positioned. Lots of things to talk about in the agri sector. He's explaining that there are other sources of financing. I'm looking at that page 252. I have the composite budget. I don't have the full budget. Maybe let's check and see. Samens and I have been talking about agri for long. I remember when we went to, there was a day I got so angry. We had gone to Tokpo, but we had to use the Asuchari road. So we had driven very long on Asuchari. Then we crossed the Volta and entered the Greater Accra again through that side. And I was just angry to see vast amounts of water and to think that we still import so much food. And what even pains me is that they say it every day. Oh, we import so much food. We shouldn't import. When they fed the agriculture minister, they say it.
Yeah.
And yet the policy, for the past how many years, the policies don't change it. So it's like we know the problem and we use the problem to create something, but not with the aim to solve it. Because you spoke to me about Achampong and Benasco and how they decided that for them, they were going to make sure we can produce food.
Yeah.
And this is a military government in the 70s. I for some reason, and I'll tell you this outside the program, because of the import lobby. And I said, so you've been given power as a politician, then you say the import lobby. The import lobby. So what? Are they, you know what I'm saying? It's like...
Because the pressures of globalization has increased since the 70s. And the demands and the agreements that we have subscribed to that actually compromises our food sovereignty. Okay? It's where we find ourselves. Okay? Nigeria has the mettle to decide that to hell with you, we won't deal with you, we'll do our own thing. We are standing on feeble legs. You understand? I mean, I'm listening to the MP. We see 1.5 billion cedis as allocated. Now he talks about other sources.
He says it's 2.9.
Everything come together. Granted, let's even round it up to 3 billion. It's still insufficient.
Very.
Okay? You are dealing with sector infrastructure. It's been assigned almost 14 billion cedis. NHIS has been assigned almost 10 billion cedis. And Agric has been assigned 3 billion.
Can you imagine?
Okay. Now, you are talking about a government that has decided to come with transformation, to do transformation through Agric. Now, you cannot do transformation through Agric if you are not venturing into large-scale mechanization.
Correct.
You can't talk about it if you're not going into irrigation expansion.
Correct.
We can't even attempt if we are not tackling the issue of post-harvest infrastructure development.
Correct.
And these have been key bottlenecks in Ghana's agri sector. And if we are to do all these things against the backdrop of, look at our high inflation, the target of
and the fact
11.9.
that food
exactly
inflation has always been higher than the others.
You understand? Exchange rate pressures. It also suggests to us that this 3 billion that we are talking about, in real fact, is not the 3 billion that we know.
It's very small.
It's very small.
Yeah.
So all we are saying is that
that's like $200 million.
Bernard, maybe this is what they can afford, and I can understand. But they should know that it will not get the work done the way they are talking about it. And I can understand again, given what we are dealing with from cocoa.
Yeah.
Outstanding debt of 32 billion
cedis.
Cocoa technically is part of agriculture.
Although this government has moved it back.
That's why I say technically.
Actually, the previous government had it under agri, correct?
Yeah, technically, but functionally, they put it on a different functional head, which makes sense because it involves a lot of money. But if you are starting with a deficit of 32 billion cedis, you can't play around with the money that you have. So I can understand the dashboard of how they are allocating the money. But having said that, if we can do 10 billion to NHIS, 13 to 14 billion on infrastructure, then logically, I think they should take a second look.
Let me push you further. So you've made the point about the allocation. Desau makes the point also about efficient use. Because don't forget, in 2023, it was about 5 billion. And then it came to around 3 billion before it's come down. In terms of cedis, right? So some people feel that we have also not been efficient in the way we use the allocation. So that if this new team will be more efficient and targeted and strategic, this 3 billion may be more useful than the previous 5 billion. So
that's a very scientific posturing. That's assuming that there's high efficiency in the allocation of funds. 3 billion obviously is better than anything less.
Correct.
Do you understand? But we know how our system is structured. Okay, we set up structures and disable the same structures with corruption. And I'm talking about institutionalized corruption within the supply chain. Okay, and most of the time, the management of the supply chain is beyond the purview of the policymaker. So policymaker dishes out the policy, establishes the institution to carry out the policy, and then the hawks will take over the policy along the lines of the supply chain, compromise it, and then it comes back as a nil impact to the economy. This is where we find ourselves. So as for efficiency, if we can achieve that level of efficiency, I think we are good to go.
He made a suggestion about not the man I interviewed, the guy who original guy. He said if you've allocated 14 billion to Big Push, one of the biggest problems he sees in agric is agric infrastructure. So something like maybe roads to the farm, post-harvest infrastructure, or irrigation systems. He believes that it's not too late if the government can say that of that 14 billion Big Push. You know, in Ghana we say infrastructure, we think about roads. You get me? But road fund already has almost 3 billion. That the Ministry of Agri should be able to make a case that some of that Big Push should be agric Big Push. Do you follow me? Because now he gives a very good example. He says, if you grow if oil sector gives you $1 billion of output, or gold gives $1 billion of output, if agri gives you 1 billion, the multiplier effect of agri is more because of the value chain. So even though our economy benefits from oil and gold, he believes that the agri-centered growth is more
beneficial.
Wonderful. Do you subscribe to the point that there should be a ring fencing of some of the Big Push into agric infrastructure? And in there, where should we prioritize? Because you mentioned irrigation, you mentioned post-harvest. There's also roads.
Yeah, I will not. If you like, I'll just go a bit slow on the road infrastructure. Okay, because if you like, I don't know whether I don't know whether the word is quality, but the level of road access that we need in the agric areas will not be the Temamoto way kind of roads.
Of course not. Of course not.
We just need access, a decent road access. See, we went into something called cocoa roads.
They were doing roads in Accra.
32 billion debt burden, 21 billion is in cocoa road projects.
And where are the roads?
We can't even find them. And as we speak now, only 4.4 billion can be properly accounted for.
Are you serious? Over how many years?
Well, I don't know, but this is the fact. This is the fact. So I'm just saying that.
Wow.
I'm just saying that.
Hold on. 32 billion cocoa board debt. 21 is cocoa road.
Yes. It's captured in cocoa road, of which only 4.4 billion has been properly accounted for. So I'm just saying that the fact that you allocate the money, big money to roads alone will still not solve the problem if we are not going to supervise the entire chain.
So it means irrigation. That's another funny thing. So you see, I also feel like we need to do some audit of previous government work, because we did a whole planting for food and jobs, which had over 700 million allocated to it. You have the One Village, One Down, which is essentially an agric project. Okay. You cannot be saying that last year 70% of northern farmers couldn't farm because the rain didn't fall after such a massive investment, so-called into
dams.
You answer, it doesn't make sense to me, because dams and dugouts are the essential raw material for irrigation. So if you spend that much money on it and then come and tell me that last year, because it didn't rain early, almost 2/3 of your farmers could not plant. So what happened to the irrigation that you did? You understand? So
maybe the dams were built, but they weren't well thought out and they were in the right places. I'm just.
But that's the efficiency point, because you cannot spend. So I see, because when I did the Volta thing with you, we realized that when irrigation is done properly, it actually enhances production because we have a lot of water resources. It's a question of the gradient and the flow. So, and there are different ways of doing it. It seems like we prefer buying machines to pump, which is more expensive. Some of your irrigation can just do it the way you landscape, so that water will find its natural course. So I feel like there has to be commitment to solving the problem other than the corruption. You see, his point is that somebody can say, oh, Citi Breakfast, we should do irrigation. And they will go and allocate $1 billion to irrigation. And it will just be contracts they award to their friends to import things. Do you understand? As against saying, what is the best way or scientifically proven way that our researchers have shown that we can do irrigation? So usually what the politicians do is that they admit the problem, then they come up with a solution that they can benefit from in a corrupt way.
Yeah.
So this is the problem. So technically they know that you need to do irrigation, but there's a system, which is why it says even the policy maker. So somebody can say the big push. Maybe some people are also sitting behind, opening their mouth, looking for the big consumption. They want to chop from the big push. So I feel like there has to be some more we have to be more clinical and ruthless with what we want to see done. Do you get it?
You made the point about willingness, the willingness and commitment of leadership. I think for me that surpasses everything else. Look, remember when Kaziel was presenting his budget, his preamble raised some flags. His preamble raised some flags, which for me are very key to the survival of this economy. One of them, and I'll not depart from it, is the cocoa bot situation.
Yeah.
Okay. You have 32 billion that you are owing people. Your production has reduced by 50%.
Terrible. Oh. So your main resource revenue side is down, and you owe.
Your production. Now, we lost $840 million between 2023-2024 season due to contracts which were locked in low prices.
When the price went up, we couldn't benefit.
Now, we also lost almost $500 million in losses which were expected to be rolled over to 2025. Now, you have all these things staring at you. So each passing day exposes you to different levels of debt.
Yeah.
If we are not careful, in another 2 years, the cocoa industry would just grind to a halt completely.
If it's not ground to a halt already.
Completely.
It started.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Another two, because you see, it's not banking. It's not just financial engineering that will resurrect it. What if you do all the financial engineering and the human resource base to push the cocoa industry itself has been compromised? But you and I know swollen shoe disease is still prevalent.
Galamsey is also doing
taking over.
People are selling their
land usage, land ownership. You know, so how context of Cote d'Ivoire, large scale mechanized cocoa farming. That's why they always beat us. We may have footprint of our
even though we have a premium price because the way we grow ours.
Yes,
which is also a legitimate thing anyway.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that if you cannot reduce by 50% and then suddenly become the world's largest producer of cocoa.
Yeah. No, so Bernard, the point on the efficiency and the funding diversion, I have the brief on projects to the transitional team, what the transitional team was giving. And if we go through that, you see the source of funding for some of the projects, and you will get the details of the amounts here. So in terms of funding for the donor funders, we have some funding going on. But the emphasis, as you and Samez have placed on the efficiency and the commitment in the allocation and the spending and the value for money is what is left. So for example, if you take support to rural livelihoods and food systems exposed to COVID-19, we have an amount of $20 million. And this alone started from March 2021 to February 2025. That's effectively ended. But it came from the International Fund for Agricultural Development. There's the Savannah Investment Program,
Okay.
which ran from April 2022 to 2024 last year.
Okay.
We had 26.6 million. Now, more current ones. This one ends in 2026. Started from 2023. It was worth $20 million.
right.
It's the Global Agriculture and Food Security Program.
All right.
Now, this one will end in 2027. It's a grant of $28.9 million US. Savannah Agriculture Value Chain Development Project. African Development Bank is the funding agency. If you go to the Outgrower and Value Chain Fund, £52 million. This is a loan that is run from April 2011 till date. Food System Resilience Program.
Are you talking about the current budget?
This is
the handing over notes.
Yes,
Okay.
the handing over notes
Correct.
the transition team gave to this current government.
Correct.
So the source of funding we've had in the past up to now, that still runs to some years ahead of us.
All right.
So from March 2024 to 2029, for example, the World Bank has given us a loan of $200 million for tree crop diversification projects.
Okay.
So I'm running you through all these projects to indicate that in terms of funding, we've had some funding in terms that are grants, some are loans. But how have we
So
dispersed
what
them
would be good?
efficiently to have value for money?
What would be good in addition to what you've done? What would be better for us is to now get into each of the specific funding amounts and what is allocated to what, because you can have a $200 million thing. If X is going to consultancy, this is going to procurement or whatever. So I think that the point is, we agree that we cannot just use blanket how much is allocated. There's an efficiency question. Okay, but we also know that the place you put your money tells us your priority. Okay. And because of the way Agric works, 2 more points. Beyond the fact that Agric's multiplier effect is more in terms of the number of people it employs, and also if you want to industrialize as a country, I think we are better off producing agro-processing than to say producing cars. Because you need to learn, you understand? You should go to produce watermelon juice where you can produce a Mazda car. It's just common industrialization. So investing in agric should not just be seen as farms. It's also preparing the ground for those who want to do agro-processing and agric-led industrialization to have a readily available and affordable raw material. So if, for example, your mangoes and your oranges are produced and they are cheaper and high quality, then your blue skies and co can then benefit from that to continue that process. Do you get it? So I feel like sometimes when I see some of the big things want to do, gear deck and those things, they're all great. Bauxite, they are big things. I think that generally, because mining has given us a lot of money, our view on that sector is more favorable for revenue generation.
Because we see it.
We see it. That's the point.
Yes.
But agric doesn't have the voice.
Bernard,
And agric doesn't have the sexiness. So it's very difficult to get, the same level of attention it deserves.
I think as a country, we need to review the way we measure the outcomes of agriculture.
Correct.
Have you noticed that most of the governments, they talk about agric from the point of view of how much money they have invested into agriculture, rather than giving us a measure of the outcomes. Okay, say we're able to increase volumes from X to Y in year 1, year 2. You hear that from cocoa. But most of the time, unless you go to statistics, we spent X amount. Look at Exim Bank or Ghana Exim Bank. They had money allocated for agric. Have we done an evaluation to see how the amount of money we allocated to agriculture, the outcomes? Nobody does that. But in talking about it, we committed X amount to it. And this is what we are discussing.
So it's more like this is what we
have invested into the thing.
Output instead of outcome.
Exactly. So this is how we should measure it. Then we can compare ourselves favorably to our West African neighbors. Because if you tell me that you are putting 3 billion or 3 billion cedis in agriculture, how much is that in dollars?
3 billion cedis is $200 million.
$200 million. Lagos State
has more.
Lagos State alone would have almost 100 times this figure. You understand?
Yeah.
So, yes, somebody will say, but they have money. But we are in competition.
We'll read some comments shortly. I just wanted to highlight another quick angle. And then I believe this will open up more discussion in future. So we've heard about irrigation. There's also a big issue about post-harvest losses, which has to be dealt with. And you always travel to your village and you come back and realize that people are selling food at a very cheap price. And you come to Accra and the price is 4 or 5 times. And the question of storage infrastructure is critical. I just have a story I wanted to read briefly for you in the graphic where this story is May 2024. Ghana loses about close to $2 billion of its crops production to post-harvest losses annually. Can you imagine? 1.9 billion. Imagine, that's $2 billion worth of your food to post-harvest losses. This is the head of the World Food Program, Stephen Odatefe, disclosing. We've been able to estimate that we are losing $1.9 billion on post-harvest losses every single year. Mr. Odatefe said at a day's stakeholder engagement and sensitization workshop of the Abinbev pilot project in Sunyani, the huge losses were attributed to factors such as lack of processing and storage facilities, as well as poor road network. You see? However, Mr. Odatefe said the World Food Program was committed to supporting agriculture industry players with post-harvest equipment to halt or reduce post-harvest losses. Now, this project is initiated by Ministry of Food and Agriculture and WFP in the Ashanti, Bono and Upper West regions to reduce post-harvest losses and enhance the productivity of smallholder maize farmers. The goal of the project is to improve the livelihoods and incomes of approximately 2,100 smallholder farmers in maize in the beneficiary communities to supply Accra Brewery Limited, a beverage company with 5,500 metric tons of maize annually. The focus of the project is to strengthen the local supply chain. Under the project, smallholder farmers will be supported to improve productivity through the adoption of good agricultural practices and technologies. Additionally, the partners will build the capacity of farmers on post-harvest loss management to reduce losses and improve grain quality. The farmers will also be supported to access affordable financial and insurance services. All right. Of course, Mr. Akwe also proposed, since we have a GET fund and health fund, which probably in an agri fund, I think that's something that can be discussed. So the question of post-harvest losses is also very critical indeed. Let's read a few quick comments on the sector, and then we'll see where that leaves us.
Okay, Bernard, this is sad. I am an agribusiness person, and what is happening in the sector is really sad. The market women prefer Niger, Togo, and Nigerian beans over Ghana's because of pricing. My friends import millions of bags of maize from Argentina every 6 months. You say, Bernard, let's be decisive. Ban rice importation, ban poultry importation. Let us go hungry for 1 year, and bingo, we are there. A little sacrifice and hard work will send us to that destination we all desire. David Agbeko from Ho send that through. We need to invest in the whole value chain of agriculture. If we pick and choose which sector of agriculture to invest, we will definitely not get the desired results. It has to be well-structured. A well-structured plan with massive investment behind it. The budget allocation is way too low. Now the country needs to be serious. A small cold country like Netherlands is hitting big with thinkable measures and plans to increase productivity. We are here doing politics with our Greek, aligning numerical economic figures in percentages to a very practical soil, nutrients and water issue. The country needs to be serious. Fred Owari from Airport. Good morning, Bernard.
Morning.
The politicians know every problem we face in this country. They just own the problem to benefit from it through corruption with their friends and family businesses. Ni from Kaneshi. In Japan, there is a chocolate called Ghana, and it hurts to know that Ghana is no longer a leading cocoa producer. Most Japanese liken chocolate to Ghana, but can we live up to that name now? Papsi from Japan sent that through.
The allocation for agric for the past 9 years, and to be fair, it's always been that low. So from 450 million cedis in 2017, it came to 1.1 billion in 2019, then 1.1 billion in 2022, 3.7 billion in 2023, 5 billion in 2024, and then back down to 1.5 billion in 2025. The percentage has hovered between 0.79% of total allocation. The highest it reached in the past decade was last year, 2.23%. It's gone back down to 0.5%. Contribution of agri to GDP, the largest contribution in the past 10 years was in 2016, 20.84%. Then that was the largest until 2023, when it went to 21.1%. And we don't have the 2024 figure. So basically, agri contributes about a fifth of our GDP. And its sector, its growth percentage as well, the highest growth was in 2017, 8.1%, when it grew. 2023 it grew by only 2.9%. In 2020 it grew by 0.5%. So COVID effect as well. So those are the numbers for the agri sector. All right, now we will be speaking to a number of people this morning. Interestingly, we have a Legacy Crop Improvement Center who are scheduled for an interview. Fred, are they here? Because I think it flows into our discussion naturally. Is Amos here? He's not here. Well, he was supposed to be here by now. So, are your people here? Okay, maybe let's do that. Take a breather with Swesco, and then I'll then come back to the crop thing because it's all related, right? So we'll take a short break. Don't forget, we also have our Heritage on a series. Our conversation on the history of some churches continues in the last half hour of the program.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
Every day, people have money emergencies. Ma, I need my school fees. Mommy chop money. Cratchy. Mommy rent. Emergency. Now, there's a new emergency number in town. More money, challenge and enjoyment. At the top life we got. Dial *770# for money emergencies and chop life.
For emergency access to your bank accounts, transfers, utility payments, loans, and more. Dial *770#. Bank on the go even without data with EcoBank's short code for digital banking. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Hey, dear Miriam, sir. And you stay soft concentrate fabric softener. I was such it move. You're sending this say, but you hear my tina watch. New unit tina watch. No, be a baby, some was some demon in us. Dear Miriam, say. Fair quiet, yes, sim Biara Association Ontario. Use stay soft and new unit tina watch. Nani boss to tap from cry. A fabric softener. And you near say, sir. Choose to stay soft. No, who's so say, no. FDIG, a dreading crowd to yat.
Hi, Mom, it's me, Kwame.
Hey, Kwame. How are you?
Mom, I'm fine, oh.
Okay.
You know something?
No, tell me.
I'm looking for a complete furniture set for my new place.
Kwame, I've told you before, the only one place you should go, eh?
Yeah, Mom, but I need a mattress to fit my bed.
Ash foam.
I need a bed to fit my room.
Ash foam.
What about a sofa where go relax my body?
Ash foam.
Wardrobes to fit all my clothes?
Ash foam.
What about linens and pillows for sweet dreams?
Kwame. Ash foam.
Mommy, that I feel you. Ash foam all the way.
From mattresses to beds, sofas, wardrobes, linens, pillows, and more. Don't waste time and visit any Ash foam showroom across the country or call our hotline at 0243 200 729. Ash foam. Feel it, know it.
Hey, so what goes into building quality structures? I mean, literally, what goes into it? Wujaf, you don't want to be sitting here somewhere worrying whether or not you did a really good job. It'd be a very simple equation. If there's no diamond cement in the mix, massa, forget it. Don't start cry. Menye, diamond cement has been providing builders, block makers, and construction companies that peace of mind for years. Diamond cement is 42.5 R grade cement. Unbeatable quality made right here in Ghana. And because we have your pocket in mind, we provide 32.5 R grade so that everybody getting on. No long talk, Jack. If there's no diamond cement in the mix, don't start. Locate Diamond Cement Ghana Limited nationwide with factories in Aflao, Takrade, and Buipe, or call 0244-313-368 or 0540-111-978 or 0202-021-175. Diamond Cement, still as hard as a diamond.
Protect yourself from germs and bacteria with confidence. Cleanse hand soap effectively kills 99.9% of germs with every use. Perfect for all your hand washing moments throughout the day. Available in a variety of variants and delightful flavors. Choose Cleanse for yourself, your family, and friends. Make Cleanse your daily essential. The GC brand. It's all about you. This advert is FDA approved.
Join the conversation on the City Breakfast Show on Facebook at facebook.com/City97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/City973, and Instagram at instagram.com/City973 with the hashtag CityCBS.
This is the City Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
Lord Kenya, where me go, senior, see, so many think a pipi, but me to me, me won't get a quarry. See, come for funny, many think a pipi, but me to me, me won't get a quarry. See, come for funny, Pia Sika, my ocean day, we are saying Sika, not trade, Concordia. Sensi ina nyepe.
7 minutes past 9, and as if by design, the plan this morning was to talk to Amos Rutherford, as you know, PhD, founder and CEO of the Legacy Crop Improvement Center, on the role of that in Ghana's agri value chain and why it's important for farmers to be up to speed with some of the things happening within the crop side of things. So it's a flowing conversation. So Amos, thank you for joining us. I hope you've been listening to the discussion since we started.
Good morning, Bella. Thank you for having me. Yes, I am listening to you as I start in traffic.
Wonderful. So we've already dealt with financing and funding, and we've dealt briefly with infrastructure and post harvest losses. But I guess one of the key parts of food crop discussion in agriculture is the quality of seeds as well.
Exactly.
Now, talk to me about why you set up the Legacy Crop Improvement Center and what role it plays in enhanced food production.
Okay, thank you, Ben. Good morning to your listeners. So we established a Legacy to as a business to produce and market high quality to the farmers. The reason why we do that is today, if you take the data from the World Bank data, you realize that Africa holds about 60% of the world arable land. At the same time, the same continent has close to about 1 million people food insecure. So it basically tells you that there's a missing link in there, and that missing link has nothing to do with human resources or anything. Those factors are there, but the prominent factor there is availability and accessibility of high quality seeds that the farmers are not having to produce enough food to feed our population. So this company actually Legacy involved in the production of maize seed, cowpea, and soybean seed, that we process and market in Ghana, Mali, and Burkina Faso in the South region.
So you're talking about beans, cowpea, and what?
Maize.
Maize, beans, and cowpea.
Exactly.
How critical are these in terms of their ability to solve hunger and their use in other sectors?
So at Legacy, we have one of Climate Smart variety, which is 85 days in terms of maturity. Last year, if you recall, we have a lot of erratic rainfall pattern in many parts of our farming communities. One of the varieties that actually survive in those communities to the farmers is Lega 26, which is a Climate Smart. In addition to that, it also has a provide 8 content in it. You know, basically maize has a carbohydrate content. And our farming communities are have the issue of malnutrition because, you know, they farm a lot, but they don't have a financial muscle to balance their diet. So when they consume this maize, it means that they are consuming both nutrients and in their diet. So the issue of malnutrition is also reducing. And it's also Climate Smart, so it means that unlike other varieties that are over 100 days in terms of maturity, if they plant this one, and even the rainfall is not up to the speed that we want it, the farmer will not be at loss so that you have something for their investment. Basically.
Is there a government program that procures seeds for farmers, or does government recommend seeds for them to use? Because as you know, and as you correctly said, because of the drought or what they call the dry spell last year, a lot of the farmers didn't benefit. You are saying you have drought-resistant varieties of seeds. Does the government have to get involved in this conversation if we are to prevent what happened last year from repeating itself this year?
Yeah, I think the government largely has to involve in this dispatching. But I know we have built a procurement economy around the seed economy. So in the past years, you know, we spent 2.8 billion cedis on planting of a job, basically trying to import seed from elsewhere and bring to this jurisdiction, which some of them will probably will not be survive the kind of the high temperature that we had or we are having and erratic rainfall pattern. So government has to look at the sector. But basically, the most important thing for the government to do is 2 things: to see how we can transition from the small holding system to a commercial farm. So that also takes a lot of budget in terms of seed subsidy from the government. And also said that I think one of the things government is not looking at over the years is to set the floor price for major commodities that we consume. For instance, today if a farmer wants to plant maize, he knows the cost of the seed. He knows the cost of fertilizer, labor, and other input that is needed. But he doesn't know how much it's going to cost him or he's going to sell his maize after harvest. So if we are going to set something that you don't know the price at the end of the day, then it doesn't work that kind of investment we are talking about. So if the government or the state can have that policy, I normally call it a local content policy, then people who want to invest in agriculture know that at the end of the day, if I crop 1 acre and I have this yield, this is how much I'm going to realize from that, got from that. Then you can now work that investment very well. Until then, we are only deceiving ourselves of what we are trying to do.
Now, one of the problems in Ghana is the poultry industry, and I'm told that the biggest challenge is feed and the cost of feed. I'm also told that the mix for feed includes maize and soya. So at least 2 of the 3 seeds you have can solve the poultry feed problem. The varieties that you have, are they amenable to feed production? And what should we do to make sure that we do not only plant to eat but also get enough to feed our poultry?
The truth of the matter is that the variety that we have are what the human beings need, what animals need. You know, the yellow maize that we are selling, as I said, not only a Climate Smart, it also has additional nutritional content. It's what exactly the farmers need for their feed preparation as a human being also. But the issue is that because we build a procurement economy, we like or we have developed inordinate taste for foreign goods. Let me put it for lack of better way. So we kind of try to, so let's bring everything from wherever we can get it from and make our margin on it. And agriculture is a value chain, as you all know in every business. but the actors along the value chain don't talk to each other. So since you are not talking to each other, you will not even know that legacy have a seed that can solve your problem. You also don't, or you're not aware that somebody else has a drain that can help to feed your animals for you. So that chain doesn't need to be broken. We need to fix it. That we need to be in a conversation with each other.
Somebody sent me a text that, Bernard, the issue with the seed matter is that when they come, they are to be stored at a given temperature, which they are usually not. Hence, the seed germination rate falls greatly. As a result, some farmers don't even want to use their seeds even when it's free, because the germination rate can fall to as low as 30%. Do you understand what this person is saying, and can you address it?
Yes, it's true. So, seed is a living thing. It's not like a maize you buy from market to prepare your bangu. So, the maize comes from somewhere, and it has been a sheep for so long with unsettled or unconditioned environment. So, obviously, the time we get to Semaphore for us to clear and everything, we don't have a cold storage facility. Unlike us in the legacy, we build a cold storage facility for our seed. That's what we always tell farmers, that when you are about to plant the seed, then you let us know. We do a nationwide delivery. Then we deliver to you. So you are guarantee of your germination. But when you import from somewhere, you don't know the condition of which they kept the seed when it's in transit to your place. And when you arrive here, importer may not have a storage facility to store that particular seed. So obviously the farmers are going to have that issue.
Okay, now you're based in the eastern region, but I'm told that the maize belt is all over. Upper West, Sisala area, also parts of Afram Plains and North and that kind of thing. How can farmers reach you? Do you have outlets across the regions, or do they have to come to your eastern region head office to get these seeds?
No. So let me brief on your previous question. Due to the issue of the low germination we want to avoid, so we don't have a lot of after we do the central division, because the seeds are in the cold room here in the Legacy Square in Ontario near Koforia. So wherever you are, once you place at the telephone call, then an email, WhatsApp, or once you reach out, somebody will attend to you and the seed will be delivered to your doorstep. Within 24 hours, wherever you are in Ghana, you should be able to receive your seed and plant.
So finally, what kind of support do you need from government, and how can people reach you? Is there a phone number?
Okay, let me answer this. So you can reach out through 0257 431809. Let me repeat, 0257 431809, or go to our website, www.legacycrop.com. For the support, I think the government has to look at the local content policy very well, in the sense that we have built this system on procurement that is not sustainable for us. We have to look at it where, because the global seed business today is over $70 billion United States dollars, and that industry is controlled by only 4 companies in the world. And Africa's portion in it is just 2.4 billion. So we have 60% of our world arable land in our jurisdiction here. It means that we need to invest in this space, and government has to create the conditions and protect the industry so that local people who are invested, they have their investment protected. Because if I'm investing in the space, and government have appetite to always be importing in the background that the local people cannot meet the demand, a journey of 1,000 miles have to start with a very good first step. We have to start for somewhere, and we need to have protection for that kind of investment in the space.
2 more questions have come. One of the questioners wants me to ask you whether your seeds are genetically modified or not.
No, these are conventional breeding. These are not the GMO seeds.
Very good. So they are not genetically modified. Somebody wants me to ask you why Ghana still imports seeds.
As I said, because over the time, we have not really paid attention to the local seed business. So we are quickly to say, oh, let's get seed to farmers, so we import. But once we are importing, we are putting expense on your local people. So if I'm able to produce the seed, I'm not able to sell and make a good margin and invest in my business, it doesn't worth it. So by the time a lot of people are folded up in the system, you understand my point. So recently, I have a discussion with a new minister. So surprising to know that when he arrived in the office, He met all the stakeholders. He even have a briefing for a woman from the ministry. But nobody have told him that there's a local steel production going on in this country. And we even have association. The association was not mentioned to the minister. So in that case, what do you think the minister will do? Only thing he heard was that if you want steel, you have to import. So you see how we live our life on a procurement.
Well, at least he's listening, so I'm sure he now knows that he can get seeds for Ghanaian farmers here. These are not GMO seeds. So thank you, Dr. Amos Rutherford Azenu, who is the founder and CEO of Legacy Crop Improvement Center, who produce maize, beans, and soya seeds. You can go to legacycrop.com for more information. www.legacycrop.com for more information about this. So this morning, our own post-budget deliberation has focused on agric, and I really want to encourage listeners who have expertise in specific sectors, like the way Dr. Danakwe has done. When you get a platform or even write an article, the budget can be a very intimidating document. It's very big, over 250 pages, so sometimes nobody wants to read it. But the way he did his presentation yesterday at the PwC program, it's very easy to understand what he's saying. So I want to encourage people in various sectors. So for example, if you're in education, you can analyze the education aspect of the budget and send it to us. We'll be very happy to discuss it. If you are in health, you can analyze the health aspect of the budget and we'll discuss it. If you are in the built environment, road, infrastructure, housing, you can do an analysis of the sector, send it to us. And I think these are very important because this whole idea of just discussing the budget on the basis of, growth rate, the debt rate, and some of those big themes, we can do those at the level of the economist and ISE. But I think for radio discussion, it's more useful for us to get into things like the agric allocation and what it reveals about government's intentions, corruption, the allocation for anti-corruption institutions, So I want to really encourage experts in those fields to do articles. Send it to us. We'll publish it online for you. And it will also help us to have a more meaningful, non-partisan national discussion. I really don't enjoy the parliamentary debates because you can smell politics a mile off. And I've done this job for 20 years. I know politics when I see it. A lot of the people shouting there are just doing politics. And I don't think that's what we need at this stage of our development. 68 years of independence, still importing food. Over 20-something% of Ghanaians do open defecation. This is not kind of society you can afford doing cheap politics. You have so many existential problems as a country. You are importing so much food. Your currency is not worth much. Your gutters are choked. You get flooded every time. You don't have the luxury of America to be doing the type of politics they do. You have to get serious and develop your country. But our people, when they get into parliament, all they think about is their party colors. And I think it's regrettable. And I've made that point to Mr. Gisol, and I'll continue to make it. We deserve better. We deserve much, much, much better than we're getting. People shouldn't be comfortable and lose touch with the reality of the Ghanaian situation and be asking for new parliamentary chambers in an economy like this. We have to get serious with Ghana, please. So we want to thank the agric people for helping us do this discussion today. Got a lot of comments from the agric sector. Kwesi Krobo, Davis, and all of you for the very insightful angles you brought to the discussion. I really appreciate it. Samens as well, with his very well researched inputs on how to improve the agri sector. And we need to do it for Ghana. If people get jobs to do and the country gets better, we all benefit, whether we are NPP or NDC. Let's put Ghana first. Let's develop our country. You know, we have to move forward. Trump says America first. Let's also say Ghana first. Speaking of Ghana, Swedru Senior High School is one of those relics in terms of what the founder of the country wanted to do. They are called the PSC because they together with some other schools like the Ghana National College, to an extent Winneba Secondary School. These are the schools that the first president of Ghana really wanted to use to showcase Ghanaian excellence. So they are not necessarily mission schools, but these are Ghana schools. And Swedru Secondary has become one of the leading schools in that category with a lot of interesting programs. We understand they have a big one this coming weekend. Yes. So I have in studio 2 of the alumni. Nana Ifua Roxon is from the 95-year group. Would that be SS or A-level?
A-level.
A-level, 95. Because don't forget the SS, the first batch was 95.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I have also Samuel Akom, who was in the 2018. So that's a long gap. Yeah. Were you even born in 95?
No, I was not.
Oh
Are you serious? Wow. So you do 1 to upper?
Yes. So I'm actually 93 and 95. Yeah.
Amazing. So you left Swed School 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Hey!
I can't believe it
It's
myself.
it's amazing. It's amazing. Do you go to the school often?
Yeah, I do.
When you go there, how do you feel?
Very nostalgic.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm also amazed at the transformation and changes that are going on.
It's improving?
Yeah, it is improved. It has improved actually a lot.
But you need a lot more.
Of course.
You need a lot more.
Of course.
Those days when you were going, were you using the main Winneba Road or you were using the road from Bojuasi?
It was the main Winneba Road and it's terrible. You know. It is terrible.
What course did you do at Swed School?
I did arts. So I read arts for O-level.
Okay.
And for A-level, did arts, history,
literature,
and African traditional religion.
Water.
So I'm a historian.
Is it they call it water?
Yes. Water.
And then you in 2018, so it means you went in 2016.
16.
And what did you study?
15, 16, 17, 18.
You did 4 years?
No, 3 years.
Okay, what did you study?
General arts.
Which subjects?
So combinations, literature, CRS, economics.
Okay.
Yes, and then
quite similar actually.
Yeah, quite similar.
So why did you go to Swedru Secondary anyway?
So basically, all my life I've been in Swedru.
Okay.
And then I used to visit the school.
So you were born in Swedru?
I was born in Swedru.
Oh, okay.
And then I used to visit the school after going to my primary school or JHS.
Okay.
Then I used to see these huge trees in the school, the environment and all. So I was like, oh, really? Okay. Then when I get the opportunity, I'll just, go to Swedru Senior High. So that was my inspiration.
So that was your area school?
The environment was really nice. The greenery, that was all convincing. And then we lived just across the street.
Okay.
So every morning you are seeing the
You see the students.
You see the school. You see the students.
Yeah.
So there was no. It wasn't even a discussion.
Exactly. It wasn't even a discussion.
I'm sure yours is different.
Mine is different. I mean, it's an interesting story. Then my uncle was the headmaster then.
Okay.
But I'm part of that group of students who wanted to dodge SS. At that time,
So they made you write common entrance early.
So I was in actually class 4 at Martin Dupori School when
Class 4?
Yes, when I was jumped to class 5, class 6, and I wrote common entrance. Then at a public school.
Jesus Christ.
Then I passed, but I think I didn't pass excellently. Well, so then I was like, okay, then your uncle is the headmaster at Swed School. Just go to Swed School. Yeah.
So you were probably 11 or something.
Very young. Very young. Very young.
That
but
must have been
I was
something.
a very intelligent person.
And you survived 7 years there.
I survived. Survived. Yeah.
So your speech day this weekend, how many? What year speech day? Is it the 50th?
It's a 66.
66 speech day. So let's talk to me about it. What are the big issues? What's the theme? What are you doing?
So 66th anniversary, and the theme is a retrospection of 66 years of transforming lives, the impact of educational policies. And it's actually a week-long activity, so it has already started. Monday they had a clean-up exercise. Today they are having inter-school science and maths quiz.
Okay.
Tomorrow there'll be the fun games and night of cultural festival. Friday is when the homecoming actually starts.
So there's a homecoming.
Yes. So it's been 30 years since I left Swiss School, and this 66th anniversary is being organized by the 5-year groups.
Okay.
So we are all marking a
so
significant
95, 85.
Yeah, 75, 85, 95,
All right.
2005, 2015, you know.
Okay.
So we are organizing this, and it's our homecoming, and we are all looking forward to it. 30 years has been grace that has kept us. So the homecoming starts on Friday, but before that, when we converge to actually drive to the school in the morning, there will be aerobics, you know, just to warm up students. Then we have a kind of inspirational session, how I got there, where you have some of the alumni actually speaking to the student to inspire them to aspire to excellence. Then also part of that will be recognition for staff and student awards.
Amazing.
Now
So you're actually going to sleep in Swedru?
Oh yeah, we are sleeping in
From
Swedru.
Friday
So
all
all
the
the
way to
hotels
Sunday.
and all the rooms there, I'm sure, are fully booked now. I mean, all roads lead to Swesco. Then we'll have the alumni inter-house Gary soakings competition. Wow, you know, you remember those Gary soakings where we used to have in school?
Very necessary.
Very nostalgic memories. You know, we have that competition. Then 4 o'clock we will be heading towards school, where then we have the candlelight
So
procession.
this is still Friday?
This is all still Friday. We have the candlelight procession on Friday night, 6 p.m. to light the flames for all those who have exited also set the pace for the future. Then we have the jams.
Okay, for the Friday night.
Friday night. Jams for students and jams for alumni as well, you know, happen simultaneously.
Is this the assembly hall or the main compound?
So we have a complex, a school complex, so that's where we'll be holding that. So so we hope to sleep early on Friday. That's around 10, you know.
And
that's
then
early.
Saturday is the speech day.
Saturday is the speech day. So we have the grand derby. And our guest speaker, I think, is the Minister for Education.
Okay.
Well, Minister for Finance. Minister of Finance.
From Ejumaku Bisiasi to Swesco.
Yeah, so he's a
I can see some people's hand in this invitation. But I will not say it in here.
So we'll have that in the morning.
Yeah.
Then we are commissioning a staff bungalow. That's a legacy project that all the year groups have.
The 4-flat bungalow.
Yes.
Well
we've
done.
all contributed to.
So at least 4 teachers can stay in that thing.
Yes, 4 teachers, 4 families can stay
Correct.
in that.
Correct. You need more. We
need more infrastructure. You know, as a PSCA school, among the first Kwame Nkrumah belts, we can't just neglect it. You know, so.
So speech day is in the afternoon?
Speech day is in the morning, yes.
Morning.
Then we have the commissioning in the afternoon. We have the all-year lunch.
All-year groups lunch, school complex.
Then we have jams again for the students. And we have the, live band, the Chin Chin band for the alumni. You know, we are going to dance all the 30 years of stress away on that weekend, Saturday. Then Sunday we'll have the Thanksgiving service. Then we'll be heading back.
So let me ask you as a young alumnus, how do you feel about the school and this homecoming?
I think it always feels good to go back to where you actually graduated from, and most of the times when you enter the school, you have this memory of how everything went down, and then you also hit by what you can also do to contribute. So I think people coming in wouldn't only be to see each other to reminisce about the past, but when they get there, they will also be reminded of the need to contribute towards the growth of the school, because after all, if the infrastructure they met was not able to shape them to become who they are, they wouldn't have become who they are today. So they will also have conversations around how important it is to contribute to the development of the school. Basically, for me, I feel good that we are going back, and of course the entertainment part, you know. Wherever in Chin Chin Band is, there's a lot of fun.
I hear.
Exactly.
It's going to be interesting.
Amazing. So Nanefua, congrats. So you guys are hitting Swedru from Thursday all the way to Sunday.
Yes.
Your message to alumni: come one, come all.
Come one, come all. Come in the black and yellow colors, because we're actually painting Swedru black and yellow this weekend. Yeah.
Congratulations. Nanefua Roxon is a member of the 95-year group. Charlie,
And the global vice president.
Oh, you are the global vice president.
Yeah.
So is this yellow your color? Is this your school color?
Yes, the school color.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you are repping your school color.
Mm-hmm.
And Samir Akom works with us. He's one of my producers. He's a Swesco 2018 graduate. Both are general arts. So as they said, Saturday is the big day for Speech Day. Kazil Forsen is the main speaker. So all Swesconians, all PSC, make sure you are at Swedro for this big one. 66th Speech and Prize Giving Day. All right, Anifa, thank you.
Thank you very much.
2 big events to look out for today on Channel 1 television. At exactly 1 o'clock, we are covering a launch of the World Consumer Rights Day and the launch of the State of the Ghanaian Consumer Report. This is a very important report that will be live on Channel 1 television. Speakers include Honorable Elizabeth Ofosu-Ejari, Minister for Trade, Justice Jones Doche, who is a retired Justice of the Supreme Court, Professor Goski Alabi, President of Accra Metropolitan University, Professor Alex Dodu, former DG of GSA, and Apia, I'm not sure if it's still the former or past, I'm not sure, Alex Dodu nonetheless, and then Apia Kusi Adomako, Director of CAT West Africa. So this event is live on Channel 1 at 1 o'clock. It's happening at Alisa Hotel, World Consumer Rights Day and launch of the State of the Ghanaian Consumer Report. Then on tomorrow, same today at 6 p.m., British Council Hall, Achimota Speaks comes your way. The free SHS concept of reforms are required. Speakers Mr. Akwesi Adai Boahini, Professor Stephen Adai, Irama Benin, and Sankuma. So your keynote speakers Mr. Akwesi Adai Boahini, moderator Jifa Bampo, and then Professor Adai, Irama Benin, and Sankuma are your panelists. This event is at 6 o'clock, and it will also be live on Channel 1 television. So for those of you who are interested in knowledge, World Consumer Rights Day, 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. And then Achimota Speaks, as part of their centenary celebrations, they will be bringing to us this very important discussion on free SHS. A Minister of Education will be there as well. So we're going to take those 2 events live. So when we come back, we're taking you into the next edition of our on-air series as Samens continues his conversation with Kwekuda Kwankra on the history of some traditional churches in Ghana. Stay tuned.
This is the City Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
For free. Provident Insurance Bema Quentway on Dessa. If you January equal see March 2025. What the insurance one some shop Provident Insurance and sa. Some will renew and now we have for Penya Chadia P. Emufua coupons and Provident Souvenirs Papa B. And you will tell you when they and WhatsApp assistant or buy and chat is here 024-242-6396. So 2 out over to me swag 15 branches. Ya to a petit Ghana and Mobia. Over to me Sunny brokers and I agents in the Mobia this was. Janami and Sunny and Provident Insurance are some Ghana man some power, Maconia Badia Wabambo, and Massa special for you for Kaisan check a
With Provident, man, you're covered.
Hey, dear Niham Sa. And stay salt concentrate fabric softener. I was such it move. Yes, send it this way. You have it now. New Yanets now. No, be a baby, some was some demon in us. Dear Niham say. For quiet, yes, Team Biara Association Ontario uses Stay Soft and you hear it now. Nani boss to tap from cry. A fabric softener, a year near says, choose to Stay Soft. No who's so you know. FDIG a dreading crack to yet.
Dear home, no interest for 2 years. Are you ready to step into your dream home? With Lakeside Estate's exclusive offer, you can own your own home in just 2 years with no interest payment. This offers you affordable payments, flexible home purchase plan, quality homes, and lifestyle change. Choose from a variety of beautiful homes in any of Lakeside Hills clusters. Your future awaits you. Imagine living in a home you love with the freedom to invest in your dreams without the burden of interest. As your CIMG Real Estate Company of the Year for the 4th time, we offer you hassle-free home acquisition. Call us today on 020-477-5043 or 020-477-5042. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity. Call us now to learn more and schedule a tour for our available homes. T&C supplied. Make your dream a reality. Lakeside Estate, quality homes for all.
Why settle for less when you can have it all? Get the KFC Burger Deal, the ultimate combo of flavor and value for just 55 Ghana cedis. With the KFC Burger Deal, you get your choice of a Zinger or Kernel Burger paired with a refreshing drink. Head to your nearest KFC today and grab the KFC Burger Deal for just 55 Ghana cedis. Big bites, small spend. Only at KFC. Remember, this offer is only available for a limited time only. KFC is finger licking good.
This is the City Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
Hello, it's good to be with you. It's the season of celebrating our culture, our history, and also recognizing who we are as a people. It's the Heritage Month. Now, on this Heritage Month, we want to delve into some aspects of our religious lives. And we are talking about the independent African churches and how they also spread out in Ghana. We've had churches like the Nigerian Church, the Christ Apostolic Church. We have the Divine Healers Churches, the African Tabernacle churches, the one that we call Odifo and Cancer, and all. There are several of them. We want to try and put the puzzle together and see whether we can close the gaps. Which one came from where, who led what, when it was done, and all those. Now, for this one, I'm inviting you to come along as we tell the story about the independent African churches in Ghana. This is Channel 1 TV. We'll be right back. Welcome back. My name is Samuel Atamensa, and this is a special program for our Heritage Month. With me to discuss this interesting topic is our friend, our brother, Kweku Dako Ankra. Kweku, welcome.
Thank you.
You're a doctor, right? Or
no, not yet.
You're not yet. You're in a PhD program.
Yeah.
And that's in history or what?
Yeah, history.
Oh, but
African studies.
Oh, okay, African studies. But your first, second degree, history?
No, my master's is African studies.
African studies.
History option.
But first degree was in law, right?
Journalism, and I also have law.
Law.
LLB.
LLB. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So we'll see how it goes. So you call it African independent churches, right?
Yeah.
And how is that different from the Orthodox churches?
Yeah, so the African independent churches were authentically African movement.
All right.
That was a sort of a call to return to nativity, which was a movement that was grown out of the Aborigines Right Protection Society. Mm-hmm. Aborigines Right Protection Society at one time, there was too much Europeanization of ideas, of culture, even the way people dress. You see Africans wearing bow ties, three-piece coats, and suits and so on. So
but those are your people, the fancy people.
So that was for the educated elite. So the educated elite themselves realized that this is also sinking deep into the academic curriculum as well as the church. And then there was the need to Africanize. So as a result, they formed a movement called Gone Fanti Movement.
What?
Gone Fanti Movement.
Gone Fanti
Movement. It
What's
means the person has gone to Gone Fanti way.
Oh, I see.
It is a return to nativity.
Oh, I see.
And it has come out as a result of an episode that happened within the Fanti Society, where Reverend Philip Kwaku, who was brought by the Church Missionary Society, Society for Propagation of Gospel, of the Anglican Church.
So he was brought back into Ghana,
him,
right?
Yes, to come and spread the gospel. When he came, he was actually against things that are local, fetishism, the way people were worshipping in their traditional African ways, he talked about how it was wrong and tried to win souls for Christ.
All right.
In so doing, one time he got sick. And when he got sick,
that's
all
Philip
the prayers,
Philip
Kweku himself, he got sick, all the prayers and things that went on, he couldn't heal. So he went to a local herbalist, and the herbalist gave some medication, and then he got healed. So the people say he has gone fancy.
Oh, I see.
So out of this episode, they created a movement that there's something good in nativity.
Yeah.
So they formed the Gone Fanti movement within the Aborigines Right Protection Society.
All right.
And as a result, they call it Gone Fanti, or the Return to Nativity movement.
Oh, wow.
And so they were interested in teaching people how to wear the African dress, how to speak the African languages, and writing about the African stories. So within that period, people were told to write about themselves. So Saba, for example,
that's John Mensah
Saba, for example, will go into the native laws and try to codify them by writing the Fanti customary law, which today is a #1 handbook when we are talking about the customary law in Ghana.
Whoa.
And it is used at the law school.
By John Mensah
John Mensah Saba, the Fanti customary law. He will go and also write about Fanti National Constitution, which talk about the history of the Gold Coast as well as the legal development that took place. J.E. Kesley Hayford will also move on to write about Gold Coast native institutions. He was writing about the institutions of chieftaincy and how democratic they were, and then plead with the colonial administration to rule in tandem with the educated elite and the chiefs, which formed the basis of what we called the indirect rule. So he was bringing how the educated elite could be formed part of the indigenous chieftaincy or political structure to be used for governance. Then you have Reverend J.B. Anaman, at that time also writing about the Gold Coast history, the history of the Gold Coast, and then adding the Gold Coast Almanac, talking about the history of the people from that time on.
Okay.
So this
Anaman is a Fanti man.
It's a Fanti man.
But he was originally with one of the Orthodox churches.
He was a Methodist Reverend minister. So as I'm saying, when we get to his side, we will add to it.
Okay,
so this Anaman and others, they came together, and the idea of Africanization was brought to the church. And this took place at Anomabo.
Which year? You remember the year?
Yes, in the late 1940s, 1960s. Within the 1960s, what happened was that there was idea what we call radical Methodism or radical Christianism, where the people were trying to introduce Africanization, the ideas into the Methodist Church. This led to some sort of dissent, that people who support the European way of doing things and people who supported introducing African way of doing things, for example, they wanted to come out with their own African songs, not European hymns.
Okay.
And then also introduce African instruments into the way of worship, which the church then has described as fetishism. And so must not
so
be
our kind of drums and our kind of maracas and all those things.
And even the clapping of hand was seen as a sort of fetishism.
Wow.
Because they see this being done by the Akonfu and Abosomofu in their various shrines and community. And so introducing that kind of thing into the church worship was deemed as demonic.
Wow.
And so therefore they were not interested. But people like Anaman, people like Kesley Hayford and the members of the Gone Fanti movement begin to fight against that way of practice, that European way is not an African way. And then Africans have their own way of also worshiping God. So Anaman, for instance, will come out and write the first Ebibinyum, which is Yanananum, which many people know.
Oh, this same song,
yes.
Yes. So this came from Anaman.
Anaman in 1888, what we call Nanam. And he was actually using it to talk about how the Fanti Obidan, where the deity of the Bobam Fanti, what we call Nananumpo, and how the Akonfu used tricks, and then it was later destroyed, and then the word of God was spread by Thomas Birch Freeman around that time. And so he wrote the Nanam to talk about the fact that the Africans already knew about God. Even though they worship deity, they knew the existence of God, in their African understanding or the worldview. So that is what happened. But now, as you said, we are on the street of Polygonal. And one of the later AICs or African Independence Churches is
Divine Healers
the
Church.
Divine Healers Church. So Divine Healers Church was started by a man called Gilbert Lawson. Gilbert Lawson or Gilbert Abro Lawson.
Yeah.
That is his full name.
Yeah, we used to call him Brother Lawson.
Brother Lawson. So he was born in 4th November 1908 in Polygonal here.
Yeah, man.
And then he started his schooling in a government boys' school.
All right.
And then he was a member of the Anglican Church.
Oh, I see.
So while he was a member of Anglican
Also,
Church,
he himself was a member of the Anglican Church
originally.
All right.
And then while he was in Anglican Church, he also took after school. When he reached standard 4, his brother died. His brother Albert, who was taking care of him. So he moved to stay with his other cousin called James Myers. So while with James Myers, he completed his school and then got a job at the Gold Coast Post and Telecommunication Organization.
That's a post office,
Accra Post Office.
Near Watto. Yeah.
Near Watto. So while he was there, one day there was a sort of what we call the rally or
a
crusade at Manchester Palace by Reverend James White.
No, that's Manchagbona.
Manchagbona. Yes.
Yeah,
so,
that's Jamestown, Manchester Palace.
So he went for that crusade, which was then organized by Latter Rain movement, which was coming from New York in United States. And the Reverend who was leading was Dr. James White.
Wow.
And during the crusade, the Spirit of God actually took him into trance. And according to the story, he saw the glory of God. And as a result, he was baptized and immersed in the sea, which is the sea at next door. And afterwards, he was baptized into the Apostolic Church.
Oh, he was the Apostolic Church.
Yes,
that's the Apostolic Church that we know.
Yes, the original Apostolic Church, and which came from Bradford in UK.
Bradford, Northern England.
Northern England. So while he was he had opportunity of coming into contact with James McKeown.
Oh, McKeown, who was also a leading member of the Apostolic Church at the time.
So with McKeown, they moved around and started organizing missionary activities and praying. While he was moving on, later on, he also went for a crusade at Teshi. It was at Teshi crusade of the Apostolic Church that his eyes opened. And for the first time, he saw Jesus Christ face to face. And his life changed. And when his life changed, he decided to go into full-time ministry by opening his first prayer center.
We are still talking about Brother Lawson. Brother Lawson of the Divine Healers Church. Yeah.
So he opened his first prayer center, which he called the Divine Healers Temple, which was then at Nsawam.
Oh, I see.
So when he started with it and his activity, the way they were going about their things with Africanist idea, singing, clapping, using banjo strings and other African instruments to pray, the church actually had some divisions between them.
Oh, really?
And as a result, he moved out and then founded the Lord is There Temple.
Wow.
In 1954.
Oh.
So from Divine Healers Temple, which was closed down as a result of the differences between him and the Apostolic Church, he founded the Lord is There Temple.
So let me ask, while he started the Divine Healers Temple, he was still a member of the Apostolic Church?
He was still a member of Apostolic Church.
And McKeown was still a member?
And McKeown was still a member when he moved out to find the Lord is There Temple.
The Lord is There Temple.
With the Lord is There Temple, by 1955, the church has become very big, and then he moved on to become the Divine Healers Church.
Okay.
And then in the same 55, he came out with a magazine, the Divine Healers Magazine.
As in print magazine?
As in print magazine, which is the first Christian magazine in this country.
Oh, wow.
Where the people, all the prayers and miracles that he has offered to people. People write their confessions. People write the miracles they have received from him into the church. And then he made a brochure of it, about 24 in number, between 1966 and 1967, where he came out to say that his church have about 190,000 membership.
In Ghana.
With the capital at Accra, Koligono, where we stand here today.
Yeah.
With some at Mamprobi, some at Accra New Town, Tama, Adafo, in Cape Coast, and
this whole
so
area
many
had
places.
Divine Healers Church all over the place, all the way to Kanishi and, you know.
Of course. So with this authority, it is one said that he predicted on the birth of the Gamanche at the time, and the time he would die. And he lived to see that all those prophecies that he gave came to pass. So people call him the prophet or the man for the Gadambe society as a result of that. And again, this man has a unique way of actually doing his miracles. He used handkerchiefs.
And so did he introduce this handkerchief thing?
Yes, so he was the first to use the handkerchiefs. And the handkerchiefs he gives to members. So wherever you are suffering from any ailment, you use it, the handkerchief, you touch at the place, or you wipe wherever it is, there's an infection or anything is affecting you, and it will go away. And he also have holy water. That holy water, he springs on you, and when it springs on you,
and it is believed that you get healed.
You get the healing.
Okay, so people, we are still celebrating our Heritage Month here on Channel 1 TV and Citi FM if you are listening on radio. My name is Samuel Atamensa, and the voice you hear is Ni Dako Ankra. Now we can safely call him a historian. He puts a lot of these stories in the right perspective. We will take a short break. When we come back, we will let you see what has become of the Brother Lawson's Divine Healers Church. Now, if you grew up in the 70s and in the 80s, you won't be stranger to Brother Lawson, where in this entire area, we used to refer to them as Yesu Bami. We'll be right back.
When it comes to the miraculous, the healing ministry, only few in this country that have walked that path. People like Brother Lawson, Divine Healers, Yesu Bami. Some of you were young, but there was nothing that came before him in Yesu Bami.
And across the world, there were men who were raised. In fact, in Ghana, we had somebody who was called Brother Lawson, the founder of Divine Healers Church. Brother Lawson was so anointed, they said when you were going to his house, there was a palm tree or coconut tree where he used to go and pray. And as he prayed, he would hold the coconut tree and be praying. And you know, if you were going to his house and you were sick and you touched the coconut tree, you got your healing.
Welcome back. This is the Heritage Month, and on this episode we are talking about African independent churches and how they all emerged and where they are now. And I have Ni Dako Ankra or Kweku Dako Ankra. Is your Ni Dako Gan or Fanti or Ekrapim?
It's Gan.
It's Gan. Of course, every Nidako must have come from Utumlo, where my mother comes from as well. So anyway, Soni, you are talking about the Divine Healers Church. In fact, we are actually shooting from the headquarters where it all started of the Divine Healers Church. I mean, when we were kids, it was just a huge. It was big. It looked so big, but now, Charlie, we all grow. So I think, you know, but I think there's some remnant of the roofing, the old structure there that we can go and see. So, Ni, tell us more about this. Yeah, let's go.
This place was donated by one Hanson to the Reverend.
Oh, I see.
So,
the facility.
The facility. So
was donated.
So he had this church here. And then he became so renowned. He became so renowned that Reverend Duplex C of United States came to visit him. You have Nancy Porter also visiting him here to see how his miracles were going on. We have the famous Nigerian evangelist and then preacher, Bishop Benson Idahosa.
Oh, Idahosa too
also
came here?
coming to meet him.
They came here?
Idahosa came
So
here.
Duplessis was here. Porter was here.
Porter was here.
And then
Benson Idahosa was here.
Which year would this be? Because Idahosa later moved to live in Ghana.
Yes, in the 1970s.
That must be
60s and 70s.
Yeah, must be 60s, yes.
And then also we have Billy Graham also coming to visit him.
You don't say.
With A.A. Allen, where they had interviews.
No, you are moving too fast, my brother. Charlie, you've defined the whole space. So you had Benson Idahosa from Benin City.
Yeah.
That's Church of God Missions International.
Yeah.
He came here. A.A. Allen was a major authority in this evangelical movement in the U.S. He also came here.
He also came here to visit him.
And did you say Billy Graham?
Billy Graham.
Oh, no, my days, man.
And the two of them all had joint interviews with him.
Oh, wow.
About the nature of the African dependent churches, miracles, and the
so
ideas
people,
about
Billy
God.
Graham came here, so if I be careful, he came here. Go on.
So he was really a famous man.
Oh, yeah.
And that's all time will allow us for. Thank you so much for listening. There will be a repeat of this Heritage on air series with Kweku Dako Ankara, looking at the history of early African churches with Samuel Atamensa. My name is Caleb Kuda. Thank you for listening. Jubi Rafia Kenting is in with the news at 10. Good morning, Jubi.
Good